identifies as a gamer in some way, shape, or form. You're not going to touch that 55%. You're going to touch 5%, maybe. You're probably going to touch 0.05% or 0.5% at a Division One school. Um, and so, what you really need to do is build that community authentically by, as Doc said about Dan, what are the people prioritizing, and do that. And how do they enjoy their life? What would they find meaningful? Do that, and then do everything else, because the financials and everything else, the planning and all that matters too. And that's why we have a talent problem in Scholastic Esports. Um, but I will wrap up and say, for the national level, Dan's completely right on narrative. But I'm not worried about that, because the only thing we need to build community nationwide is just time. Mm-hmm. We are 2 generations away from critical mass. And all it takes is that the current generation of students to grow up, get in the professional workforce, and have kids and raise them on the things that they were fans of. It's how baseball grew. It's how basketball grew. It's how rugby and all those other sports grow and sustain.
Cornhole grew.
But in all seriousness, all we need is time. All we need to do is ensure that our products get better, our opportunities become more authentic, accessibility remains open, and monetization remains enough to us to continue to what we're doing and grow.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Garozzo, also known as Sapphire. I'm so excited to join you here today. This is an initiative that means a lot to me. I've been involved in esports now for a little more than I want to admit, but about 20 years in many different facets. And when I started, I was often the only woman in the room. There were no women competitions. There were no other women on co-ed teams or women's teams. And that obviously has changed drastically over the most recent couple of years. Initiatives like this are so meaningful to getting more women involved and giving them a stepping stone to join those tier 1 leagues, to join co-ed teams, mixed teams, and hopefully become the best in the world. So I came to join today to just tell you a little bit about my journey, hopefully inspire you, whether you want to go down the path of being a professional gamer or a content creator, or you want to work in the industry. There's so many different options, and I wanted to share a little bit about my story with you. So first off, I'm actually at Valorant Champions in Istanbul right now. The match is happening like just behind the door from me, so you might even hear some of the crowd noise going hype. The crowd is obviously cheering for Fnatic. Actually, I just heard a loud cheer right now, so something epic might have just happened. But so apologies if you hear that background noise, but it's all part of the vibe. It's all part of just being in esports, living and breathing esports. My journey actually started just as a player. I was a multi-sport varsity athlete in high school. Tore my MCL, was out on an injury, and then I found esports. My brother would have his friends over, and I didn't want my brother to be better than me than anything, and I just started playing. And this was actually Counter-Strike. Valorant wasn't out at the time, of course. And turns out that I was pretty decent at it, and so started playing more and more and more. Found some teammates, traveled down to the CPL, which is like the top tournament at the time. Thought after winning a bunch of tournaments in the Milwaukee area that we would come in and do really well. Turns out we were terrible, and we finished dead last. Lost to a Finnish team that was one of the best in the world. But it only motivated me to be a better player. So I kept competing. Eventually, I made it on to some of the top teams. Both I was in co-ed teams, played in ESEA Invite, which is now the equivalent of ESL Pro League, and also played on some co-ed teams. Played with teammates like Miss Harvey, Potter, who is now the coach of Evil Geniuses, Alice Liu, that played with Complexity's Valorant team.
We're at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. Let's make some noise.
Oh, and it's gonna be it. Corner judges go for 1, 2, dip. He needs more. They're doing even more here.
You gotta touch the point. Mr. Collins walks it in. Toy Boy is gonna drop.
Knife him.
Right out in front.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, running.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CECC Last Chance Qualifier Overwatch Edition, brought to you by Esports U, CSMG, and ZipChair. I am Seplins, joined by Twin Salty. And Salty, I think there is no other way to say that this is going to be the battle of the Titans through and through, starting with dozens of teams, and this will, as all qualifiers must, burn all the way down to just one.
Yes, 26 teams all vying for that one final spot in CECC Arlington. We got quite the amount of fantastic teams here today. One of them we will see right away here. And also Wichita trying to play upset against the Rutgers Scarlet Rain.
The Rutgers Scarlet Rain is a squadron that has been dominating the collegiate scene recently, taking down a lot of high-ranking teams like Fisher, as we just recently found out in the green room. They took down Fisher not long ago, and going into this matchup, they want to take down Wichita because this is a single elimination bracket. You've got a best of 3 to survive, and it is either go down with your ship or be the one sailing away. But right now, Rutgers versus Wichita, Salty, like you said, it is all on the line for these teams.
Yes, and everybody's, again, vying for that one spot. You know, we have Northwood, Maryville, St. Thomas, UCI, Rutgers. There's so many Titans in here. And throughout today and tomorrow, I can't wait to see just how this actually ends up. But you got to start off right. As you said, there's no second chances here. If you lose one of these best of 3s early, your shot is completely done.
Absolutely, and I do want to call out as well, with this being a best of 3, the map order does change a little bit. Things are going to be a little bit different than we traditionally expect. We'll be starting with Escort, I believe. Map number 2 being Push, and map number 3, the Tiebreaker, will be Controlled. And I actually like Control being in that slot a lot because it kind of guarantees no map 4, right? It makes the Tiebreaker a Tiebreaker, and we go no further than that. I think that's going to be really exciting, and I hope we get to that early on. But with map number 1, I believe is Dorado. Salty, what compositions or maybe just specific heroes should we be keeping an eye out for going into this map?
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of the Winston dive, but, you know, you and I were talking in the green room about this. There's no solidified meta per se. There's a lot of somewhat meta picks, but, you know, we can see a Winston, if they're more comfortable on the Wrecking Ball, it can work. And on the defensive side, we could see more of a poke as well. But I'd say my favorite comp as of late has been like this Winston, Tracer, Sombra. Yeah, because you can really mess with the backline a little bit, and those engages, if you're spot on, can be just so crucial.
Yeah, I think early on here, I'm going to be looking for maybe Hanzo, maybe Widowmaker as well. But I think a Sombra is a really good choice. I think Genji as well has a possibility maybe on the offense, but of course we'll get there when we get their offense. Plenty of time to change. We can look more kind of insightfully at Rutgers here, who definitely feels like they're trying to run a one-shot or at least poke-style comp with reference.
Yeah, so they will be running a pseudo poke, where normally, you know, you see the Sigma there. This time around, though, it will be the Ramatra, I think, more to try and punish that dive more directly and have that extra armor health if they do get dove to make sure they can stay alive. But I don't mind this look, honestly, from Rutgers, and a lot of pressure will be on Jay and Oms to get those picks, but if they do, it's a perfect game plan.
Perfect game plan is what these teams are looking for, and Jay wants to find that high ground early. This is exactly how the defense needs to play in a moment like this. Kind of close together. They need to make sure they're able to peel for their teammates and make sure that, especially the Zenyatta, does not go down early. Zen, one of the easiest meltable characters in the game, can be gone out of existence in the blink of an eye. It looks like Wichita really taking their time here, trying to coordinate their dive, looking for the proper approach, and it's TW, the first one to go ahead and make some space for this team. Dominates the high ground, Wish goes up with them as well. You talked about the Winston Tracer looking good, and looking good, they're trying to, but it feels like Wichita already is feeling a little unclear on what exactly their objective should be. Wish goes in, finds one, let's make it a double. Jay falls as well, and all of a sudden, Wichita has collapsed. It takes a full minute here, Salty, but they've made space, and at the end of the day, that is what matters.
Yes, they were just making sure they don't make a mistake on this dive, because especially on this point, it can take so long to try and gain control of that high ground, and they are trying to hunt for Altered Dark, and they are able to find them. Hanbei able to light it up, so Wichita State, so much time. I don't know if Rutgers even touched this. I don't believe they do unless Tiny
I think it's
Hippo
better to
does.
not.
Yeah, might as well try and gain high ground control, but what a perfect attack here to start for the Shockers.
I've got to be honest, I was a bit concerned for Wichita going into that engagement. It felt a little slower than I wanted it to, but the phrase slow and steady wins the race exists for a reason, right? And I think Wichita goes on to show that that patience works out very well for them. Rutgers University getting a high ground advantage, not really able to make the waves we're expecting from such a what am I trying to say? Such a decorated team here, right? They have taken down some real titans of the collegiate scene, and even now, so they're getting taken down themselves. Jay falls, removed from the fight early, 72% of that bomb, but Wish will be traded away by those gravity orbs. Soap taking the high ground, getting accretion onto TW, and clearing some space for Rutgers, but Wichita has not stopped moving the cards, already halfway done with the second point.
Yeah, Pride's been on card duty for a lot of it, and honestly, I don't think they mind. They're getting this progress in, even though Hanbei will dive up. Suze is forced, but now both support ultimates available if they want to try and make more of an impact here on this high ground. But for now, they can just settle on cart, force somebody from Rutgers to drop.
Here goes a Nano Monkey, going to be jumping into the back line. Winston, Pulse Bomb, Kitsune, and Nano. Wichita throwing it all at the wall and praying that it sticks here, and stick. It certainly seems it shall. Going into the back line here is that Wish TW combo, and holy cow, does it work wonders. Ohms gets kind of a bragging rights kill. Now even forces Primal. That is 4 ultimates from Wichita, and if they cap second point, I'm going to say I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. You got 5.5 minutes nearly.
That's probably the largest time I've ever seen here.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous, and Rutgers just haven't been able to do much. Soap is on the Sigma now to be more of a traditional poke, but Wichita, they're executing these dives perfectly, always finding one in the back alone, and especially, you know, Tiny Hippo not able to really protect themselves as you would hope with the break, with the flail and stun, but not able to, but Hanbei can't really save that.
What a flick from Ohms there. For the first time in a long time, Rutgers University has the numbers advantage. They've got the ult economy on their side, and they've got a fight win finally under their belts. Does it take 2.5 points? Sure, but better late than never. You've stalled out the cart, you've gotten rid of momentum, and this is statistically one of the hardest points to cap in the entire game. Going into the next fight, though, Salty, what does Rutgers need to do to find success once again?
I think for now, just for the rest of this defense, make sure you're not using too many ults at once. You still have 4 ults. You're almost at another Dragon Strike. If you get that early, I wouldn't mind if they just tried to use it aggressively, especially when Wichita are all hiding in this tunnel right now, trying to see if they all want to push the higher ground. But for now, I would just throw the Nano onto Jay if needed, or just to keep anybody alive at this point from an early dive.
I agree. I think a Nano out the gate here could be really impactful. Even a Nano Bob. It's unconventional. It's a little weird, but he does a lot of damage. He tends to not miss those bullets if he's able to get a line of sight. And Rutgers holding on to their ultimates, allowing Wichita to make it to the final corner of the map with just under 4 full minutes here, Salty. The bomb goes out quick. TW tanking a heck of a ton of damage and still able to live to tell the tale. Never mind, that one's on me. Tiny Hippo gets the shield bash out the gate, and that should be another stall against Wichita. But even losing that fight, I don't think is the end of the world. You are, what, 10, 15 meters away from just finishing this map, and you just lost that fight. Wichita's got to be feeling really good.
Yeah, it's the second fight you've truly lost so far, and
seriously,
like, you're almost done with the entire map. So I wouldn't say it's too bad of a run here for Wichita State, and they do almost have that Kitsune rush. That could be the go button to try and fully take over this high ground, not just sending TW up single-handedly to try and take it themselves.
I like what we're seeing a lot. This poke comp finally working for Rutgers, and even more so. Soap goes up early. Pride dives quick into the back line and just can't find that elimination. A 3K with the Flux wins that fight. Tried and true for Rutgers. However, Salty, we did hear another ultimate pop during that fight. One that I think Rutgers is going to want back.
Yeah, I'm curious on the call there to use the rally. Maybe they thought there was more of a aggressive push coming, but Wichita, as soon as they hear the flux go out, they kind of back off. They're like, hey, this is something we just baited out. Cool, we don't really need to be that aggressive anymore because they only have the Nano and Dragon Strike left. And now 4 ultimates for them, almost a 5th with TW. This could get a little tricky, and the Dragons just used to stall a little bit of time.
A little bit of time goes a very long way, and Wichita, I think their name of the game has been slow burning, farming these ultimates so they can go in and do just this. Kitsune out, Tiny Hippo goes down to the blink of an eye, no rally to keep the team up and running, but it is going to be Wish who's traded out, but gets 2 from beyond the grave. The double pulse bomb removing the DPS from the front line, and Wichita stayed feeling great about their chances of outcapping this 3rd and final point. However, the cart snuck itself back quite a ways here, Salty. They won that fight, and now they've got to win this next one with less than half their arsenal still standing.
Oh, that was a gorgeous stick from Wish. They knew they were probably going to give up their life to try and get it, but they landed on the 1. It kills 2, and Wichita State now can enter the final stretch. TW might just use the Primal to knock everybody away.
That's what I'm thinking. Unfortunately, we've got a Nano Primal scenario right now. Something you never want to see is Nano Primal does not nearly as much damage as an un-nanoed Primal does. One of very few instances in this game where an un-ulting target is more effective than one in Ultimate. TW is going to get Tiny Hippo, but unfortunately, that's not enough to give the team their momentum. Wichita overplays their hand. They go for a couple of quirky kills, and none of them work out well. Wichita State not feeling too Wichita great anymore.
Yeah, they're not feeling as good as they were. And as you said, just that little mistake, even if you just use the Nano after the Primal gets done to make sure they can rebuild that Primal later on, then it's fine. But as you said, putting the Nano with the Primal is a disastrous outcome here for Wichita. Pride goes off of the Cassidy onto the Echo, a little more pressure onto Jay to hit the shots, but Wichita, they don't really have a lot to work with. They could have a continuous late on, but it's really about it.
I mean, 48 seconds, you've got a numbers advantage here as Pride is going to use that one-shot combo onto the Lucio. Winston gets picked up by the Flux, slammed down into the ground, still standing. A quarter HP remains, so clears out the high ground. Pride has fallen. It's going to be a 4v4 with a critical spawn advantage for Rutgers University. Another accretion onto the Monkey, who just cannot get that elimination fast enough. The double sword support pocket onto that Sigma has made this a really difficult fight for Wichita to win. And I do have to call out, they rode their way into this with 5-something on the clock. And all of a sudden, we are staring at a reality in which they don't even cap this 3rd one.
I think it's becoming more of a reality by the second, but both Kitsunes use Alter just got to get out of there.
Suzu just saving Altered up and alive there. Kitsune clash from both sides. Hanbei going to be the first one to bite the bullet early. Stalls out the team, 5 seconds remain. Can Wichita even get a touch? No supports available. For now, they are just delaying the inevitable. Pineapple never getting to pop that final Nano target, and Wichita unfortunately falls apart there on 3rd point, but it is, like I said earlier, statistically one of the hardest in the entire game. That does not take away from the impressive defense Rutgers has brought to the table there.
Yeah, and I will say for Wichita, you at least got that far because you had such a great start, but it seemed like Rutgers, it just took them a little bit of time to get into this map. Like, at first, it was just a little bit clunky with their positioning. I don't think the comms were as good as they normally are for a team. You know, that has beaten Maryville in the past. They're doing extremely well in the Blizzard Collegiate Series right now. So, not the greatest start, I would say, for Rutgers, but definitely one that you can come back from still, as you were able to lock it down late. And Wichita, as you said, them being slow worked early, but I think Rutgers were eventually able to try and adapt and kind of read those plays as they were happening, so they actually had a better answer than what the Wichita attack actually was.
I do want to go ahead and drop a clarification here as well, because we did kind of talk about this in the green room. We weren't super sure. This is the Rutgers B squad. I did just get confirmation on that. So that does explain a little bit more, especially the part on how I haven't seen most of those players before. I was a bit confused, and that makes a little more sense. But Rutgers University B squad coming in here trying to swing for the fences, and Wichita State doing a great job canceling them out early, but that slow and steady really did begin to fall short toward that 3rd and final point where the defensive spawn advantage is simply too strong. You can't play it slow. You've got to go for kind of a death ball composition and eliminate all 5 at once, or the stall never ends.
Yeah, the stall just continues on and on and on. There's nothing you can really do about it. Rutgers, I like this Doomfist look. Going to try and I think just knock people off of the high ground initially. Be able to see TW up here. Like there you go. High ground is taken, and now they have their eyes set on the opposing high ground with Hanbei and Pineapple, kind of just chilling up there.
Seismic Slam goes up, but Soap drops it to get the punch, trying to keep TW off the high ground. It's a simple yet incredibly effective play because Winston and D.Va both utilize the high ground on this map to deal a lot of damage and traditionally not take as much in return. Suzu out for both sides right now, all damage permanent, including that elimination onto Hanbei. So Rutgers winning this opening fight a lot faster than Wichita was able to, about 30 seconds to be exact, if they're able to walk away with this numbers advantage more so. Soap comes in from an off angle, forces recall, Pride falls critical as well, can't get healed in time, and will be removed from the fight. Going into the rest of this fight though, I want to keep a close eye on Soap because it is up to them to make the space to get the eliminations, and while they're taking a little bit of a honk shoe nap here, they are going to be cleaned up by the rest of Rutgers University. Soap makes the space, they capitalize on it, and they dominate Wichita in that opening engagement.
Yeah, it was just great from Soap, continuing, like, hey, we don't need this super long punches for that extra little bit of distance. As long as you get the stun in, everything else will follow up as you need it. Jay is able to follow up on a lot of those kills, especially on the Hanbei, not even having the time to use that Suzu.
Ohms gets that first blood onto Wish once again. Now Wish being so far kind of the star-studded player of Wichita State, and unfortunately not able to get that value makes this a heck of a lot harder. TW's Doomfist swap is going to be null and void in this equation as well, and as it does actually take Rutgers longer to cap the first point, they do still cap it. They get 5 minutes on the clock, so a 5-minute time bank of their own, and a certain numbers advantage if they're able to draw this one out. Ooh,
that's
Pride.
what Soap's looking for right now. Yeah, I think they're just going to kind of give up on it as long as they can try and gain that high ground. They will take high ground control over Staggers every single day because then it doesn't allow Pineapple and Hanbei to get comfortable, and Pride now goes over to the Sombra actually to try and deal with Soap on these engages, who is just running amok with no real punish up to this point.
Pride on the high ground there is going to get shot out of invisibility, but the space has still been made. Not able to capitalize on Soap fast enough. Something that we see a lot of teams fall danger to is eliminating the tank first can be a very difficult task when both supports are still alive. But with it only being Akiri and Lucio, one of the lowest healing compositions in the game, your confidence to remove that tank from the fight does go up quite a bit. Pride swapping out of the Sombra has made a critical difference for Wichita, and for the first time on this map, we're actually seeing the cart stalled on second point.
Yeah, Rutgers just need to back up as Wichita able to get that nice little hack on high ground and the bio nade from Pineapple as well. Able to deny the healing going in, and now Ohms is kind of just chilling, like, okay, going to go up, here comes the blade, and they get hacked.
Oh, the hack comes through, but the elimination still fast enough. No support standing for Wichita State as Ohms does pick up that blade. Jay finding a 2K of their own. One member left standing, and Wish will certainly join the rest of the team there in the spawn room. Wichita State burning the time bank a lot. I think they've guaranteed Rutgers to not have, the 5-something on the clock, but they're still walking away with 4-something for the time being. Wichita needs to go for at least one more re-engage to try and stall out Rutgers even longer. Winning this upcoming fight could be critical in delaying the momentum of this squad.
They'll just use Kitsune at risk. EMP might be here in a second as well if they choose, and they do, but everybody dies.
Everybody goes down. They're not able to find the EMP in time, and Nano Doomfist with everybody ripe for the picking just can't get those eliminations fast enough. Wish has fallen. TW stalling as long as they can, but could not delay the inevitable. The cart already capping that first point. Trying to get out of the equation now, and even that feels to be impossible. 4.5 minutes for Rutgers. Only 60 meters away from them in a first map win.
And it was really expensive, that recontest, too.
Truly,
EMP, both support ultimates. Meteor Strike is only really used at this point to try and get out of a bad situation, better to finish off somebody in the back line. So this went from bad to worse here for the Shockers, which it seemed like the rain just needed just a little bit extra time to settle in.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to see TW on something else. The Doom has been the least effective tank we've seen from them so far. Even more so as that Pulse Bomb catches them, they have to Meteor Strike to stay alive. Journey to the fight late could be risky, but instead they're going to return back to the team. It's a 1-1 trade. Hanbei out for Jay. TW into the backline, wants to pick up that Genji, make this life worthwhile, but they just can't get healed fast enough. This cart has not stopped moving since this second point cap, Salty, and they're now just 14 meters away from winning map number 1. 3.5 minutes. Wichita needs to give us a Rutgers-level hold here to try and win this first map. Pride finding Ohms is going to stall the momentum just a bit, but the tank and both supports still standing. Makes it even harder for Wichita to win this equation. They've got to get one more hack, one more elim, and hopefully no ults to do it. Wish deep into the back line, forces the recall from Jay. Pulse Bomb out, nobody going to go down to it, and this elimination needs to be a heck of a lot faster. Can't even find the Curie who's right in front of you. Disaster.
Yeah, Suzu's going to be used, and yes, Soap does die as everybody else is peeling for each other in the back. And but it doesn't matter. Now you got everybody in a small corridor. TW and Wish both taken out. The only hope is that Pride has EMP and finally gets the kill.
No. Oh my goodness, EMP, Nano both have to come out. 3 minutes left standing on the clock. Tiny Hippo will be going down, and Wichita should be able to win at least this one more equation, but We're back to that same problem, Salty. It costs them every single bullet in their arsenal.
They will at least have the Kitsune Rush. It was not built up quite yet, but you look at what Rutgers has, man.
Exactly.
They can use Kitsune Rush with the blade to make sure those swipes go in extra fast. And Soap, if they need to deny presence on the point, they can use the Meteor Strike right on there to back everybody away. It would be quite the comeback here from Wichita State if they were just to survive this onslaught and at least back on a Soap to know they have Meteor Strike as the start.
Pineapple is going to be able to find that first elimination. Only a meter separating Rutgers from a map 1 win. Meteor Strike comes up. Wish and Jay both going to be falling. No tracers into the matchup. So finding a double kill has to be the nail in the coffin for Rutgers University to win this map. Yes, it took a heck of a lot longer than they wanted, but a win is a win regardless. Soap dives deep into the back line, looking for that strike onto Sombra. Remove Pride from the fight, but she sneaks right back up and over you. Has to wait for Seismic Slam to return a Pulse Bomb or a Meteor Strike. Not a Meteor Strike, a Minefield. Could be incredible, but TW is going to be sent to the scrapyard long before a Minefield can make an appearance. Map 1 should finally come to a close here in favor of Rutgers University. Altered Arc and Jay cleaning it up, but Rutgers find map number 1 in a best-of-3 series. 1 map left to go.
Yeah, it just seemed like it took them a little bit of time to settle in, and once they get onto this Doom comp, man, they were just nasty. Wichita State didn't know what to do, and they're able to lock it home. Wish gets the play, but it was just at what cost. It seemed like early on, yeah, that was not too. Yeah,
no, it's not.
Pulse. No, it's the single, actually, yeah. This is that initial backline dive that set everything up to have such a nice end phase for that time bank, but instead they kind of just stutter. It seemed like Rutgers were finally able to pick up on the plan, and I agree. I think going into the Doomfist, I don't mind it initially, but you could tell TW just wasn't completely comfortable with it. It's not something they've practiced a ton, at least from my eyes. And I think maybe just better just to stick on the Winston. It may not be the best outcome there, but I think swapping to something you're not as comfortable on is even a worse consequence.
Yeah, and so swapping to something like, I know a lot of casters, not casters, we're casters. I know a lot of players don't like seeing Orisa in competitive, right, and playing in the ranked ladder, but I think she's an incredibly strong tank, especially countering things like a Doomfist, like a Winston. Like, she's not fun to play. I can understand that, but you're not here to have fun. You're here to win, right? And if you need to play Orisa to win, I think it would be a good idea. TW, the Doom, we just stuck around on it too long. We weren't able to find the eliminations with it, and unfortunately, just kind of lost the tank duel at the end of it.
Yeah, it just seemed like they got a little scattered. The person I want to see kind of bring it all in is Hanbei. You know, they just got done playing in the Pro-Am with Trick Room, and they actually played really well during that tournament.
Incredibly.
As well, may I add. So you have to lean on your veteran here. Them and TW have been around this team for a very long time, and Hanbei's obviously, you know, reached or almost reached the heights that everybody would love to be. So you got to lean on them a little bit here. You got 2 maps now. You got to win back-to-back, and push is something that can be exploited if you know these maps extremely well.
Yes.
The issue will be the Doomfist comps do work, I would say, decently well on in 2 or 3 of these. So it could be an issue here if that is what Rutgers continue to do.
Yeah, undoubtedly. I'm wondering what it's going to be, and it's actually Esperanza. We get confirmation right as I was going to talk about those possibilities. I do want to call out as well that in kind of back to the discussion of tank versus tank, Doom versus Doom, Soap, most damage in lobby, 12,778, 4,000 more than TW was able to bring to the table, which, to be fair, it's not all about doing damage. TW played a lot of Winston not known for his damage, right? So I think it is going to show that Soap was making the space and getting the damage and getting the eliminations. I mean, let me check how many elims that we saw from Soap there. A clean 30. Drops a 30 bomb in that game. We see 15 total elims from TW. So it's like, you know, we're starting to see where it falls lackluster a little bit. TW's making the space, but failing to follow up. Soap, not quite that same problem. So going into Esperanza, I'm certainly keeping an eye on this tank v tank. And of course, the question, are we going to be getting the same tanks?
Yeah, with it being Esperanza, I think the Winston does help here more than the Doom. There's not as many walls for them to kind of bounce off of. If it was New Queen Street or Coliseo, you know, the beginning of Coliseo is perfect for Doom because you can hit everybody into those pillars. But Esperanza, it is way more wide open, which I think will lean more into the Rutgers poke comp than it will this dive. If they want to run it that way, you can kind of run both. And with Damply now sliding in here for Wichita State, they're on the Lucio a lot of the time. So I have a feeling we're going more of a dive here for Wichita State, which makes me curious on how Rutgers will respond.
Yeah, and Damply, you know, above the table, just a very good friend of mine. I'm very excited to see Damply out on the field there. Damply and I go way back in collegiate esports, and I'm very excited to see him see them make this appearance here on Esperanza against Rutgers. Wichita, they want to put their absolute best foot forward, and I think Dampley is a great way to do that. I think you're going to be right. I think we are going to be looking at a dive composition most likely with a Lucio Winston, but I mean, I love Winston, man, but Ryan can really take him for a ride if you play it correctly.
Especially if you can just run as one solid unit. You get one wall down from Oms. There's
look
no
at the
stopping
damage
that train.
from Rutgers. Like,
yeah, that damage last game was nuts. And in this case, they're just going to be one giant snowball. So my worries, especially for Pride and Hanbei, if you cannot get away with an amp speed from Dampley, you may just get run over in the process.
Yeah, I'm genuinely worried about Wichita State's performance here in this matchup, because if Rutgers plays as a solid crew and they line up correctly, the Maywall, the Flashbang, the Fan, the Hammer, the Fire Strike, the Amp Matrix when it comes online, they have an insane damage threshold available in this matchup. They're going for a very long rotation around the backside, when I'm growing increasingly fond of as I continue to see the pros play on this map. Looking to box somebody out early here, and it looks like they did find Pride in the back line. Rutgers goes for that flank, and by golly, does it work wonders. Dampley down as well. Rutgers, fight number 1 already in their favor. Wichita, a whopping 6 meters to answer back.
Yeah, I have a feeling changes will already occur, at least for
course.
how Wichita play this, because, yeah, this is just disaster for them. They have 3 people near cart. Pride and Dampley were in the back, and as you said, that rotation is so nice to start off, because you take the opposing high ground and you force them to make a decision. You either jump towards mid or you jump towards that back corner where it's so easy to get cornered, and Wichita State not able to get out in time. And this could be quite the issue just for that, and also for TW. If they try and dive in, they could just get slowed down enough for Jay to stick that magnetic grenade and the rest of the damage to come through.
Ohms trying to hit the Maywall there. It's actually a tough one to hit off the side of the Hydrant. I've struggled with that quite a bit myself. They put the wall up, they find TW out, but the leap was online still, so TW goes right up and over. Soap a little too far into the front line here, but TW too far into the back line themselves. Both tanks living to tell the tale. 90 seconds only have fallen off the clock. 8.5 minutes remain. That bolt should find some damage, but unfortunately, no eliminations. And Wichita using an ultimate to find Null and Void. Not exactly what you want to see. Altered Arc is the first one to go down. The Tesla Coil strikes a little too close to home, and a 2-for-1 trade currently in favor of Wichita. Only 39 meters gained. That is a pretty slow burn for a team to have that attacking bot advantage.
Yes, honestly, not too bad. I don't know if I agree with the Nano, but I guess you do have to win this fight. And TW, the Nano won't even get much because they just get sent
I think
away
it might get
to
soaked,
the opposite
though.
side. And he might have to use Prominence to get He just gets shattered out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, Rutgers may actually win this fight because the respawns are coming through.
I mean, yeah, what? That's one way to do it, baby. You gotta guarantee that elimination, and by golly, did you guarantee it? Poor TW just spiked 6 feet straight underground. Rutgers University using one ult to win that fight. I'm excited to see kind of the progress moving forward. We've got Altered Arc off the Baptiste onto the Kiriko. I think that makes a lot of sense due to the 25% ultimate retention already halfway to Kitsune, so you really don't lose that much in the grand scheme. Wichita, unfortunately, losing that fight is really going to hurt. I think it does guarantee forward spawn for Rutgers unless a miracle happens, and it looks like it's going to happen just in time, but not nearly long enough. Forward spawn in favor of Rutgers University, and they are a little less than halfway done with map number 2 and winning this first best-of-3 series.
And there are just so many ults getting thrown into those Rutgers. I'm not sure if they even need half of those, but making sure they can stay alive through the Dragon Strike, and now TW is forced to use the Primal just to stay up.
Primal online from TW. Even making the space to separate somebody from the team could be critical, but diving into the 5 of them is not going to be the opening play I wanted to see. The May slow is devastating, and it's going to be difficult to get away. Wish drops a pulse bomb in the back line again. Nothing from it. Instead, catches an icicle straight to the brain. Brain freeze hits a little too hard, and Wish has to go back to that spawn room. Hanbei gone. Beat drop from Wichita too little too late, and the Tiny Hippo trade will find some progress. Can Wichita win this fight? Salty, I feel like it'd be a bit of a miracle if they could. Ohms is going to get eliminated, and Wichita has the numbers. First time in a long time. Full HP Soap. Looking for even just one for the road.
Or even just a stall for a little bit of time. They still have close spawn, I believe, activated right now. So everybody is coming in quicker than Wichita State, which is why they're content of just sticking around mid. They know the reinforcements will be on the way soon, and Wish, as much as shooting from that far away is going to do a little bit, it's not going to do a lot in the long scheme of things, and Hanbei at least has this Nano ready to go onto TW, as long as they don't get shattered out of it yet again.
Yeah, Shatter is online for Soap, and they've been pretty darn personal so far. I've got a hunch we're going to be seeing another one in just a moment. Oh, TW can't get out of the way in time. Luckily enough, the Nano does keep them up and running. Pride finding the Elim onto Ohms. Reaper falling offline is a huge damage percentage cut out of the composition of Rutgers University, but Rutgers has had a numbers disadvantage like 5 or 6 times, and I don't think we've really seen them lose a fight at all on Esperanza. So can that pattern continue? These Dragons can make a lot of space, and Pride wants to use them, but I'm not sure I love the patience on it as you gave the team just enough time to get out of the way.
Yeah, and this fight just continues to go on and on. Nobody's really giving up, but nobody's wanted to go the extra mile to ensure the fight is finished, but that might be what Rutgers is doing right now. Both support ultimates are in.
Both support ultimates in here, and it looks like Gambley has to drop the beat as well. Again, too little too late. TW will go down with a beat and Primal online. Losing that tank almost guarantees another forward spawn here for Rutgers University, especially as they continue to dominate the roster of Wichita State. A single Elim game. Wichita has 4.5 minutes to answer back, or they will unfortunately be the first team we have to say goodbye to.
Yeah, and it just seems like, well, that fight going as long as it did is huge for Rutgers because, hey, you have the lead. We only have 4.5 minutes left in this game, and we spent most of it just fighting around mid, so you're not going to be able to complain too much about that. And as you said, the switch to the Kiriko has done so much with the cleanses from the bio nades. That's how Wichita State won that initial fight to start that, 3-minute long stall, and now with the Kiriko in play, kind of stunted Wichita State's win condition.
Wichita State certainly needs to find a new win condition here, Salty, and that's certainly not it. I'd love to see this Primal Rage. We've been sitting on it for ages. Finally, TW is going to go ahead and pop it out. Trying to get that Sojourn off the map. An environmental kill can be huge here, but even just the disruption from the fight is large. 2 eliminations in favor of Wichita off the back of that Primal. A Nano could go into this next fight as well, but TW, not sure what the plan was there. Probably thinking, WTF am I doing in a circumstance like that? But you barely make it out with your HP. I feel like I'm jinxing him. Hanbei goes down to that Fire Strike. A Shatter finds 2. Altered Arc will fall, and TW just can't make it out of the way in time. Rutgers University still winning that fight.
And a late Dragon as well from Pride, almost a stall. They do actually take out Ohms. So now the respawn's coming through. The spawn's still closer for Wichita, and they will be able to scrape this together. And they're finally able to stop the bleeding that's been going on for, God, almost 6 minutes now here for the Shockers. But now the question is, do you have enough to actually make anything of this? You have the Nano to put on a TW. There is no Shatter for Soap. So unless they land the pin, they can't stunt it that way this time around. But you gotta get some fights going your way, and you almost need Rutgers to use one ult, but you still need to win the fight.
Right, Nano is going to be answered out by Kitsune there. Pride falls, and a Nano overclock is online. Jay comes through, not able to find anything, but it looks like TW will still be going down. Only 1 ultimate used, 3 used for the side of Rutgers, 1 used for Wichita State. Unfortunately, not able to get the lineup. A huge stagger onto Hanbei, and 90 meters here for Rutgers. Only 2 minutes and 40 seconds left standing.
It's turning into something that Wichita may struggle to come back from.
This feels like the first time a fight has actually ended.
Yes.
In 8 minutes.
Yeah, it feels like we have finally settled in. Everybody's starting to get positioned for this next fight, and Ohms especially. Well, they were trying to hide to use the Death Blossom, but instead they forced Pride very low, and they will finish him off straight away. And all of a sudden that flank does not work out for Pride.
Not at all. Pride goes down. 2 minutes and 10 seconds remain, and Rutgers University is winning that fight pretty handedly as well. Map 1 was incredibly close down to the wire, but Map 2 here has been Rutgers all day long. Esperanza is their home field in an essence, or at least they're playing like it is. And TW on the Wrecking Ball can't get into the equation either, taken out by that Railgun. Hitting triple digits with 2 minutes left. It is rare we see a team answer back quick enough to win a map after their opponents hit triple digits like this.
Especially when you only have around 90 seconds left here. You need to make up an over 100-meter gap. You need to win like 4 fights in a row. And with Soap having the Shatter here in a second with no shield to block, I think that might be the nail in this coffin.
Indeed, it may be. Jay is going to be bioed. Might be able to get that Sojourn offline, but you've got 80 seconds left to respond. TW gone, the Shatter online, and all of Wichita unfortunately going to be offline. Kitsune from Altered Arc should give them the win con they need. Only 10 meters away from putting Esperanza down and out.
Yeah, it'll just be the stall coming in from Wish, just trying to see if they can have the rest of their team respawn. They do almost have Minefields and Nano, so could at least bring this back to stall, and there goes Nano, but they pay for it.
Never mind. Yeah, there's no stall here. 2 already down. A phenomenal flick from Jay should clean things up here. Railgun shot comes through the beat from Tiny Hippo, just a guarantee almost, a contingency plan to keep the team up and running in a circumstance where going down could be critical. Speaking of going down, Jay will be the first to do so, but I think Wichita is in a couple of ways here just delaying the inevitable. Even if they win this fight, they have to win, 7 more to get more than 135 meters in a row. So right now, I think Rutgers is finally getting ready to put the nail in the coffin and seal things against Wichita State. Our first victory on stream, but not the first victory of the day. We can talk about the bracket a little more when this game comes to a close. Either way, 20 seconds left. Wichita needs nothing short of 15 miracles in a row to try and answer back Esperanza.
Yeah, at this point for Wichita, you're just trying to stall this out. And at least give yourself that 1% chance to bring it back. And here is that 1% chance, and they just get blossomed. And yeah, shuts down the possibility of that even being a possibility.
Death garden, bro. It's a whole death garden. Oh my goodness, that's play of the game. That's Ohms finding a 4K, and that is Rutgers University Reign finding a 2-0 win over Wichita. I hate to see them go, but unfortunately, that is how the bracket must work. And Rutgers, another team surviving that first round of the bracket.
Yes, and this was a game that we thought, okay, Wichita State, they have Hodvay coming in here from the Pro-Am. They are a team that can have upset potential. And Rutgers Reign, after the first few minutes of Dorado, we're like, nah, this ain't happening. Like, this is our series. We need to keep moving on in this bracket. And lucky for them, they have an easier game, seeding-wise, at least going into the next game. Because of Iona receiving the forfeit win from Tufts, they have, now it's a 4 versus a 13 instead of 4 versus a 12.
Yeah, very true. So Iona does get that first round advantage. They get a technical bye due to forfeit, and I don't think we're going to be seeing them quite yet. Our next game, however, 2 teams that survived that first round, Maryville takes down Old Dominion, and Delaware takes down Auburn. They're going to be going head-to-head in just a couple of minutes, so we'll see you folks right back here with that series.
My physical skill in the game, not just how quick you could react to something, but communication, teamwork. These things are so important. At Valorant Champions right now, I get the opportunity to listen into the teams and listen to their communication. It's amazing how they refine their craft and refine how they communicate with their teammates. It's something so fascinating. So I encourage you, one of the things I like to tell up-and-coming players is record your team's comms and listen back. Did you give the right calls? Could you have done better calls? Those calls have been shorter and more precise? Those are some of the things I learned as a player. Throughout that playing journey, one of the highlights was in 2012 when I traveled to Paris and competed in the Esports World Cup, which was the top tournament for women at the time. And we came in and we won the World Championship, which was so exciting. It's so amazing to play in front of crowds of thousands of people. They were cheering against us because we were playing against a European team and we were an American team. But that feeling is just like unlike anything else when you can raise that trophy and they play the national anthem of your country. I hope many of you playing in this competition will get to experience some of that one day. It's truly an honor. Some of the other things besides competing and winning trophies, I played in 250 tournaments over the years. I believe that's the most for any woman. It's hard to keep track in the early days, but beyond competing, I work in the industry. So I'm the vice president at Dignitas. It's one of the oldest operating esports teams. We had for many years one of the top women's teams in the world. I also founded a women's initiative called Radiant and operate women's esports tournaments just like this. And I've realized how important that is. A lot of people will ask, why do the women need their own tournaments? Why can't they just play with the guys? And my response back is, if you look at a game like Valorant, there's a reason why there are so many women competing in this game compared to other esports titles. It's because these women's initiatives exist, and they give women something to work towards, something to get started. It gives them a more safe environment, a harassment-free environment to kick off their careers. And I hope one day we don't need women's tournaments. That's the end goal, is because more women are competing and more women are going to start to shine in those tier 1 teams. My last point is, as I said, working in the industry, there's so many different job opportunities. You don't have to be the best player in the world. You don't have to be comfortable on camera and be a content creator. You can work in business side, marketing, advertising. You can work in PR. You can work even in the sciences. There's sports psychology jobs. There's team chefs. There's nutritionists. One of my positions is being an observer. Like I said, I'm at Valorant Champions right now. And, if you're dual monitoring and you're watching both this event and Valorant Champions at the same time, after this, I'm about to hop in and be the observer for Xset versus Fnatic, essentially an in-game director. There's a million different production jobs as well. But I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to hopefully inspire you to continue to pursue esports and gaming if that's something you love. And then my final comment is just a reminder that, you're going to be in games sometimes and people are going to say terrible things. I hope that ends someday, but just know that no matter what they say, you belong here. You deserve this. You deserve to play this game. You deserve to be in this competition. And I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait. I know there's going to be some superstars. I hope I see you one day at Valorant Champions kicking ass. Thank you so much for having me.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the ECAC Highlights, week number 8. It has been 8 weeks already, and hey, if you've been watching these on a bit of a binge, you like the new background, brand new first video it's going to be in. Super excited to jump into this with you guys. Of course, I'm Septilence, here to walk you through the highlights of week number 8 at the ECAC. We are kicking off strong with clip number 8 here, as it's going to be Tony Pajamas on the Ness, Fisher College and NYIT, two of the greatest Smash programs in the country, going head to head, just completely dominant on both sides. But Tony Pajamas got sick of waiting and wanted to give Fisher that leg up once again.
Dying to limit options. They'll push this piranha plant away. Can they get back yet again? And up air yet again into the yo-yo, and they'll be caught by the forward air. Tony will take him down.
For clip number 7, we'll be joining CSI and Iona going head-to-head in game number 3. A full-blown best-of-7, both teams a 1 win already under their belts, and somebody needed to walk away with that second win. It's a 3-3 tie-up, less than a minute on the clock, and CSI in these final moments comes back to life to sneak out a game 3 win.
Island, and it gets them tied up. The calculated moves here from both offenses, phenomenal. And that one, I mean, it's not exactly calculated. I mean, yeah, it's calculated, but it's not the prettiest to place the back wall touch there, Flater, but it works. And just like that, CSI's in the lead.
For clip number 6, we're jumping into the beautiful game known as Valorant. Stockton versus SUNY Poly, and Stockton constantly trying to keep that small lead they've held out. Their Jet in particular starts with a very rough round and actually turns it into quite the miracle run to secure them another round win on the side of Stockton.
And looking for the sales. And I think at the moment they've missed the holiday deal. Somnus will find another one. Coupons expired, pocket taken out yet again. That's the carts full of groceries taken down. And a 4K, a no scope to clean it up.
Now, anyone who knows me knows that can be a little bit biased towards Overwatch and how exciting the game can be, but my good friend Big J over at Bethel really brings out a power play for clip number 5 here at the ECAC. And if you overextend with that Primal, it can cost your team a lot. Bethel is going to have 2 ultimates. Big J going to pop it early, it seems, and he's definitely going to try. It is huge as he puts down the Lucio and the Sojourn to boot. Kiriko not far behind, and Boise removed from this mortal coil. Do y'all remember clip number 7 of this week? CSI versus Iona. Both teams 1 win already underneath their belts. Well, did anybody wonder how they got there? We're going to jump back into game number 1 and watch as CSI clutches out an incredible victory to start this series off.
2-2, a great demonstration of what both sides are capable of offensively. Is anyone back right now? I don't think so. That's game 1. CSI, take it.
All right, Bepik, okay, just 1 beat, more than enough for Mux to put that goal in. And Driftsy already ready to make sure it goes in. CSI off the game 1 comeback.
I hope you folks are ready for clip number 3, our bronze medal, because it is a heartbreaker. Things looking great for Concord. They have the numbers, they get onto the point, but they forgot to look at the Roadhog, and Zerial teaches them the hard way just how scary that Roadhog can be.
Has all the ults in the world.
And they do a nice job for Mr. Business, though, to take out Cozy while they were using their... Oh my goodness! Zerial, you're just getting a double kill with a whole hog, pushing people off.
Now, way back in clip number 8, I talked about how good Tony Pajamas from Fisher can truly be when he unlocks his full potential. But folks, you don't have to take my word for it anymore. Check out what this kid does in our silver medal clip of the week.
He will find a look from the ledge.
Ooh, almost another stock there from Kai Squared. They go for the side B instead. It's not enough. They'll be able to make it back to stage. There's a back throw. He's facing the wrong way to Zaire. He finds the forward air. He's going deep for him, and he got him without...
And I truly cannot imagine a better clip to wrap off week number 8. Kiwi from the side of Pace found almost every member of JJC ripe for the picking.
It just comes down to being one of those things where who is using utility more effective. Is Kiwi running a frenzy on Chamber? This is interesting and I love it. As the season's gonna come out, gonna find a ton of value with that frenzy. Make it, oh my God. And just Kiwi popping off there with 3. Make it 4. The ace got stolen, but we just saw a Chamber with a frenzy.
And with that, folks, I hate to say it, but that does bring week 8 and the main season here to an end for the time being. We've got playoffs right around the corner, and I'll be right back here to walk through those with all of you. I'm still Septilence. I hope you're still having a great time. Check your posture, drink some water. Don't forget to love each other, and I'll see you for those playoff highlights.
We're at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. Let's make some noise.
Oh, and it's gonna jump into it. This corner judge is good for 1, 2, dip. He needs more. And they're doing even more here. You gotta touch the point. Mr. College walks it in.
Toy Boy is gonna drop.
Knife him.
Right out in front.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, Johnny.
Hello everybody and welcome back to ECAC Plays of the Week, and it's not just any week this time, it is the playoffs. We've got 8 incredible clips and I'm super excited to jump into them. My name's Septilence. I hope you're ready to hop into the ride because it's going to be a great one. When I found out this was clip number 8 of the playoffs highlight reel, I was flabbergasted because this is an incredible moment from Swift on the side of RPI. It's not just 1 or 2 elims to win the round and put RPI in a better position. It's all 5 coming from a single player. Take a look.
They hit him with the judge, operator in hand. Swift is trying to be able to find some value to it. The headhunter does a number on him. They're able to get a 4K. They're going to be able to get this plan down. Dakota's going to try and find him. Do they go into the tank? Yes, they do. Oh, they come out. That's the ace for Swift. They're able to make it happen all themselves, and they will get this one for free for RPI.
Clip number 7 tells a pretty amazing story as well. Ball State already up 2 games in a best-of-7 series, and they find themselves tied 2-2, less than a minute left on the clock. Perhaps a little bit more pressure than they'd want there in game number 3, but it's Daffy from Ball State that takes all the pressure and immediately relieves it from the team.
Find it back, pass to Daffy, bar down and in. Ball State will not be denied a game.
Crossbar has been doing a heck of a job here for Hartford, keeping the ball out of the net, but it only lasts for so long as Daffy's able to get...
Playoffs call for one thing: unconventional plays and crazy moments. And I knew this was going to be a crazy moment when the clip started with me looking at the casters. This stock comes through so fast from Northwood that we couldn't even get just the gameplay in the clip. It wouldn't be long enough. It is an incredible moment from SGP, and it just goes to show how good Northwood continues to be.
See, seconds into the match, and SGP's got a spike, a 0 to death at that.
Brother, that was literally one down here after Fireball, bro, please. Oh, and now we're playing this dangerous game at the ledge.
For clip number 5, we're jumping into one of my favorite games, and we get the chance to see one of my favorite ultimate combinations in the game right now. The Roadhog ultimate and the Kitsune Rush from Kiriko, so unbelievably strong, and it really helps Newberry kind of snap back in a moment where they were struggling to gain their footing once again.
To deal with that Nano Blade. You really just have to get around the protection Suzu and the Sleep Dart.
Well, there's the whole hog, there's the Kitsune Rush, and there goes the lives of Alfred State. Depressus is going to find a third. That's going to be a team kill. Kitsune Rush plus whole hog, overpowered, I swear.
Clip number 4, not quite on the podium, but still very, very impressive. Emery and Henry versus St. Lawrence going head-to-head. Both teams, 2 players left, but Hispanerd wants to clean up their opponents as quick as humanly possible, and quick they certainly were.
Yeah, little in fact, PhD actually stands for pretty heavy dude, because Dr. Mario might as well be a heavy with how he hits and how hard he can be to kill sometimes. The fact that he has Mario's hitboxes, his get off move tools, and these kill confirms at ledge, like I said, throw confirms.
At the beginning of this video, I talked about the individual presence a single player can have to make or break success for their team. Keller from Fisher College proves that point in its entirety by dropping a 4K against Ball State University and removing any iota of wind from their sails on Kings Row.
They could potentially use to be able to make something happen here. Now Ravenstrider is going to use the Kitsune Keller! 2 kills inside of the oh my word, inside of the Dragons, and now they're looking for a 4K.
For our silver medal spot, our second clip here in the highlights of the playoffs is going to go to none other than Lackawanna. They have peppered themselves in these highlight reels week after week, and when they entered this upper bracket round 1, they immediately wanted to send the message they were there to win.
That's a big reason why Barton shouldn't be feeling too hard done by if they lose this series. That's a beautiful play.
And our number 1 gold medal clip of the ECAC playoff highlights is a beautiful moment from Hybrid, one that left my jaw on the floor. Let's see if the same goes for you.
For the team, it means a lot, right? Hybrid lurking in front, annihilate for giving, yeah!
Blows up that entire push.
And as much as I hate to say it, folks, this is the final ECAC top plays of the week here for the fall split. It's a sad moment, and I'm really glad that I've had the opportunity to sit through this with you week after week and really highlight these individual players, because as great as the team play can be, it's awesome to see these moments where one person can make or break such an incredible moment for their team. I have been Septilence, you have been wonderful, and rocking through all of these weeks with me, getting to see all these wonderful moments, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the spring. But until then, check your posture, drink some water, don't forget to love each other, and I'll see you on the other side.
Welcome everybody here to the top 5 plays of the week from Esports U. Clutchkey here to help you bring those 5 plays, and we got one from each game lined up. Let's start with play number 5, and this one takes us to Rocket League, where the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech and the SUNY Poly Wildcats squaring off. But for the Bulldogs, they show us why the saying goes, teamwork makes the dream work, with insane passes and a goal to end it.
The options have to go and recover defensively because that's a big long clear. And, well, the long clear can either catalyze an offense or bring into situations like this. Jazz leaps up for the shot, knocks it home.
Now, the Wildcats were able to take a game off the Bulldogs, but in the end, Louisiana Tech would go on to win the series 4-1. Coming in at number 4 is from League of Legends, and it's the Army West Point Black Knights and the Lethbridge College Kodiaks playing in a USA versus Canada game on the Rift. But down 2 people mid-game. It was looking kind of like the Black Knights had a challenging fight coming up in top lane. But then again, the Army isn't called tough for nothing.
2v4, by the way. Now a 3v1 into another 3v1. This is Army West Point just doing the duty list, right? That is almost a full ace. Yeah, the minions will help him out. That is an ace.
Now that was in game number 1, and Army West Point would go on to win the entire series 2-0. Let's go to number 3 now in Overwatch 2 action, where the Great Danes of Albany and the Bulls of South Florida squaring off. First map on Oasis, and things started to look good for South Florida to flip the point. Unfortunately for them, one player was hitting shots, and one player was showing why Doomfist has Doom in his name.
Getting 2 picks, although that comes out right back. Bob is out of the floor. Ski gets 2. Ski gets 2. This is just an annihilating fracture here from Ski. It's unbelievable. The fight continues on, and it looks like it's going to be a fight win here for Albany.
Albany would go ahead and take that game and take on the sweep as they would defeat South Florida 3-0. 2 spots left on the countdown, and coming in at number 2 is Super Smash Bros. Sauce from the Fisher Falcons taking on Neo Joe from the St. Thomas Aquinas Spartans. It's Mario taking on the Pokemon trainer with the Squirtle out, but don't let Sauce start cooking or they could lay the smackdown on you.
Sauce, there's a couple of Mario players kind of making waves right now, but it's about what Sauce is doing right now to Neo Joe. He's saucing him up. Oh my mercy, what a forward air.
Fisher would go ahead and take that fight, take that win, and take the series 2-0. And the number 1 play belonging to Valorant. The Demon Deacons of Wake Forest have a 1-0 lead up on the Bryan Bulldogs, heading to Icebox. But Wake Forest down 6-4. Spike planted on B, and it's a 1v3 situation favoring the Bulldogs. Luckily for the Demon Deacons, this is one of the rounds that Conrad decided to play the hero.
Are they just going to lead this? Are they playing for Hunter's Fury potentially? They are. And there's the shot from Aimbot, though. This is going to be extremely dangerous. He's going to be able to find him. Does he have time?
Now that match would go on to map number 3, and Conrad would also get an ace on that last map, but it wasn't enough as Brian would win the series 2-1.
They're going to have just a little bit more than that, a second and a half, I think.
And that's it for the top 5 of the week from Esports U. We'll see you back out there for even more games. And until next time, this is Clutchkey from Esports U signing off.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the CECC Last Chance Qualifier, brought to you by Esports U, CSMG, and of course, Zip Chair Gaming. We are jumping into our second on-stream series of the day. I am Seth Lindstrom, my good friend and co-caster, Twin Salty. And Salty, this one, it's going to be one for the ages.
Yeah, I think this has the potential to be definitely a better game than what we just saw with Rutgers B taking down Wichita State, but it is Delaware against the Giants of Maryville. So a lot of people will obviously say Maryville are the favorite. I think that's fair. You know, you and I were doing our preds going into this, and we both picked Maryville, but I think Delaware are entering hot. They just won the Eastern Conference for the EGFC, so they're feeling at least pretty good going into this game.
Yeah, they're coming in locked and loaded. They've taken down a lot of great teams in other collegiate programs to make it this far. They've continued to grow as we've seen them. They were never bad, but they really struggled to break that great threshold. And now that they have, they're continuing to climb up that hill. And it's been an incredible performance every time we've seen them so far. I do, before we jump into this series, want to talk about our friends Northwood, who unfortunately will not be participating in today's tournament due to the fact that even if they won, they have very intense time restrictions and restraints on the actual weekend of the CECC, including player graduations, which are, of course, very important because at the end of the day, education does come first. So unfortunately, we will be saying goodbye to Northwood off stream, and that does knock us down to 7 teams instead of 8, 2 of them going head-to-head right now, Maryville and Delaware. Now, Maryville, we talk about kind of the giants, right, of esports, of collegiate esports. Maryville is like, if this registers for anybody, like the Baba Yaga of esports. Like, you don't even talk about them because their power is just permanent. You say their name and everybody knows the power and the weight this team carries. When you rank a top 5, you don't say Maryville because they're number 0. They are always at the top. They are always one of the strongest teams we have ever seen, and I feel like they are ready to prove that here in the CECC. This is their CECC debut on stream.
Yes, making their debut, and as you said, like, they're always in that conversation. Like, them, Northwood, Harrisburg are the 3 that come into my mind immediately. And, they're always going to be around. They were always going to have a phenomenal team around them. And this team is nothing against that. Like, they are still one of the top teams in the country as we speak. There's a reason why they're doing so well in the overall Blizzard Collegiate Series right now. I want to see if they can continue it here as map 1, Junkertown, which is not a map we traditionally see in competitive play. It's usually one that gets banned away or is just flat out not picked. So I want to see if these teams have a little bit of something interesting.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is going to be a map, like you mentioned, we don't see particularly often, and it's one that I enjoy because 1st and 3rd can have a lot in common with one another, right? You can play a lot of the same heroes there. A lot of snipers we'll be seeing in the tank lines tend to line up as well, but it's that second point where the players and the characters that thrive on 1st and 3rd really begin to struggle. Widowmaker can really not be easy to play there as the line of sights are a little harder to hit. Those longer range characters can struggle a lot. Tanks like Reinhardt or Orisa that need to be a little bit closer for value are going to fall short as well. So if we make it to second point, and I'm hoping we do, things can get really interesting. But Maryville, this is currently their series to lose, right? They win 2-0 over the ODU Monarchs. They remove Old Dominion from the equation. And then if they win this, the winner of this one has to go up against either the University of St. Thomas or Fisher Navy. So it's certainly not getting any easier.
No, from this point on, you're going to play hard teams here, especially in this bracket. The other bracket will start later tonight. You got some giants over there. You got UTA, UC Irvine, UCSD. There's a lot of great teams over there as well, but you don't got to worry about them unless you make that grand final for that final spot in Texas. And for now, man, you just got to start running with the momentum that you built against Old Dominion. That game, if I had to guess, was probably not ridiculously close just because it's Maryville. They're going to put away teams that they feel are not around them. And this Delaware team, I do feel can push them. Hyper especially has been exquisite on the Lucio and the Zen of all things as of late. So I want to see if they lean into that a little bit more here with it being Junkertown. As you said, the snipers, that poke comp could be very potent, and at least that's what they're teasing initially, and Maryville will be doing the exact same thing.
And I do want to talk about as well, we caught this in the green room earlier, a key player from Delaware not on the roster today. We're seeing Sully SW in place of a player by the name of Now, who was on the winning roster back in that EGFC championship this last weekend, and Delaware not having that player, Salty, that can have some pretty detrimental effects on your team.
Yeah, because Juno played extremely well in this past weekend, so I wonder if that throws a little bit of a curveball in what you can run. It seems like they're at least comfortable on the map. It's what they will run. And the only difference here so far, the Ramatra, okay, they are going to swap it. They're baiting us a little bit. I would say if they ran the Ramatra, I'd be asking a lot of questions of the Blue Hens, but instead we do have that mirror matchup, and Shipley will be looking for this pickoff right away.
Shipley going for the trick shot, not able to find it, get the body shot onto Nate, and they will be standing a bit longer. You've overplayed your hand a bit. They know you've got a Hanzo and a Widow. That much is clear, and most likely the Sigma showed his face as well. So Delaware has a lot of information going into this, but I think Delaware is pretty aware as well that you can't really show your head, because if you do, it can get taken off your body. Pod catches a body shot of their own and stays standing, but right now, Maryville playing very passive, and this is fascinating because this team really kind of allowing Delaware to find some space. And I think we're finding out why, because the second they let their guard down, Maryville attacks.
Yeah, Cyrus just on the flank, able to find one. We'll find the second, and Maryville is able to clean it up.
Oh!
It seems like, woo, as these shots just continue to roll through. It was like, hey, we're just going to hide our heads and push this card as long as they allow us to, and just see when they decide to bite. And by the time they actually realize the bite's through already, Nate's dead, and a second one is about to fall. But the one benefit is they do pick off Cypress. And so, I mean, not Cypress, Cyrus. So Delaware now at least know the Zen is not in the equation and might give Ideal Warrior just a little bit more real estate here to try and push up.
A bit more real estate can go a really long way. Pod finding Shipley as well kind of clears out that long distance concern that Delaware may have had in the initial engagement. Half the time bank just about getting ready to be gone. CAC God hitting every headshot necessary to keep this team in a winning position. Up and around the corner, Cyrus will fall once again. Icarus flying too close to the sun. CAC God is going to find another headshot onto Pod 36,000. And Delaware, it feels like we're getting Wichita syndrome where they win the beginning of the fight and then they fall short in the latter half of it. And that's the fight. That's the half that truly matters.
And that's something that great teams do all the time. And that is why, you know, Maryville is one of the greats. And, you know, they're just all chicken donuts just over here getting the kills. Nate, it just seems like they are the human punching bag here for Maryville. And Delaware now, what is this? This is just aggro to the nth degree.
Yeah, this is unbelievably aggressive here from Maryville University. I referenced Icarus a moment ago, but Chicken Doge being Daedalus, Hero wax wings of his own. CatGod is going to find that headshot again. I mean, this is Hanzo masterclass, right? So often we're talking about Hanzo and how he's a pretty RNG character and he shoots logs for a living, but in reality, CAC is not missing any of these arrows so far. The shield is there to catch the accretion. Ideal Warrior not in the ideal circumstance. Delaware 90 seconds left, and as devastating as it is, I've got to say, this is exactly what I expected.
Yeah, we had hope that, hey, maybe Delaware can push him around a little bit. That was before we heard Juna was not in this game. So I think that does change the parameters a little bit. But, yeah, this is what Maryville does. Like, point blank and simple. And they still have a lot of ultimates if they need to use it. They still have Infrasight to start off. Cyrus has the emergency button. Things get a little tricky as well.
Storm Arrow out from CAC, trying to get the ricochet shot, but Chicken Doge falling is huge here. You've taken the possibility of an Matrix offline, you've removed Mortality Field from the fight as well, and Delaware feeling incredibly spread out at this moment. A solo Dragons onto Cyrus, who is solo transcendencing in return. No way, you gotta win the fight here. And they are able to do so. Pod crouches right into an orb, but Cyrus will fall to Nate in Delaware. It's a lot of sloppy 1v1s, but it's working.
Yeah, it's almost like you went into that 1v1 custom game and it's just everybody kind of focusing on each other. Yes. And, you know, Maryville is like, okay, we're fine with it. You know, now you may not, as Nate's able to land the shot into Shipley, and all of a sudden this cart might actually end up finishing first phase.
First phase would be great because I really do want to see how these teams survive or thrive on that second point, and Delaware has done it in the final moments there. They're able to pick up the cart cap, and Nate making it even easier as CAC gets removed from the mortal coil once again. Accretion to clear that space. The shield goes down. Immortality feels deleted. And now Delaware feels like they're starting to come into their own a little bit.
Yeah, warming up a tiny bit. CatGod will swap to the Vara, Shipley over to the Genji. So now a little bit of a different picks to try and deal with this double sniper look, and a feeling it'll force out the swaps from Delaware, and Ideal Warrior at least able to find the strike.
Finding the strike here, Ideal and Hyper. Unfortunately, it turns into a 2-2 trade. I believe that's the Zen and Sigma down on both sides. CAC going for the Pharah in the most enclosed point on Junkertown is a really fascinating composition choice because I talked about kind of the critical nature of playing characters that thrive here. Now, I'm assuming the mindset here, and of course I'm going to assume CAC knows a lot more about this game than I do, it's simply to play the architecture, right? It's like you're playing Pharah on King's Row. It's not something we see often, but you certainly can make it work if you have to. Chicken Doge gets a little distracted, is going to go down to Ideal Warrior. The Pluck puts him up, and Loki goes down like a bag of rocks, who was actually false, playing under the pseudonym Flirty, but is going to go down nonetheless. Maryville, I don't know, starting to lose their gusto a little bit.
Yeah, it just seems like they're starting to lose that time and maybe getting or at least trying to be a little too cute with it almost.
Right,
and as you said, CatGod will just be kind of playing around this architecture, but without a mercy, yeah, they just get burned down. Sully able to line up the shots, and the Blue Hens have even more space now to try and set up, and you have the Transcendence if you need. The only thing you need to avoid is that Bionade from Chicken Doge, which could tear it all apart.
Chicken Doge waiting for the opportunity to tear it all apart, like you said, and I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing a Nano Blade in quite a while from Maryville. Delaware goes from being almost full held to possibly capping this third point. I think the next fight's certainly going to decide which way this equation falls, and currently Delaware getting ready to tip the scales once again. Lurky picks him up this time, and it's not going to be a false Elim. No, it is, as the Immortality Field saves them both. Chicken Doge deleted, and Amplification Matrix Transcendence as well. Delaware throwing everything at the wall and praying something near anything sticks. Balls will fall to their own primary fire, and Maryville has to give up second point as well. Delaware. Oh! Shipley! Oh, that's just insulting.
Yeah, that's just extra salt on the wound. I think Pod will actually be able to finish him or not. Shipley shows off the strength.
The blade as well.
Yeah, that's rough. And yeah, they have blade.
Oh my goodness!
They're just gonna go right for it.
It's dry. It is fully into the back line, and it's a massacre for Shipley there. A phenomenal execution. Wins the 1v1, and it just puts the exclamation point on the end of their own statement. Maryville University finally tipping the scales back in their favor. Only 90 seconds for Delaware here, and all of a sudden, their backs are pinned in spawn.
Yeah, it seems like Maryville. Okay, all right, we're gonna turn the heat just a little bit back up as Nate will just die again here from Shipley, who seems to be on an absolute tear. Cacti now playing back onto the Hanzo. I think the barrage earlier was just to make sure they can respawn.
Yeah, surely. Kaka is going to be able to find 2 headshots once again. One of the most calculated projectile players in the collegiate scene, if not just any scene right now. Absolutely phenomenal performance. Shipley takes down 2 of their own. A complete and total team kill from the DPS on the side of Maryville University. Delaware, less than a minute here, and they are truly really getting to know what that spawn room looks like.
Yeah, they're getting a little cozy in there, and they'll just make a full swap to the dive, and they already have to use the Suzu right away just to get out, but they do find the 2 kills.
There we go. Yeah, 2-for-1 trade, certainly not bad. I'd never expect a fight to be happening back on the Mega post second point cap, but Pod does get that revenge elim. Unfortunately, Kak is there to catch up. The Dragons come out, and it's going to be a catch from behind that Delaware has to now hold W exclusively. They can no longer walk backwards in or out of this equation. Kak not letting go of that spawn hold either.
Yeah, they're still back here. They'll be looking for
my
Nate. They pick
goodness!
them off as well. And now can they get out? The answer is more than likely
right?
no. Yeah, Pod's able to lock him down, but only 10 seconds left. This cart is moving, but so much time sitting in the spawn doors in Delaware, only left with this blade.
Yeah, I mean, what is it, 82 seconds in spawn there out of the 90 seconds they had available? It's not a circumstance you want to be in, but it's the one you're in now. Ideal Warrior takes Cyrus out. Here comes a deep blade from Pod. Wants to get that revenge kill onto Shipley again and just can't, unfortunately, find it. 13 HP down to the Mega and has to dash in before Nate can steal it away. I've got to say, Delaware, they've got to be feeling good here, Salty, because I want to call it back just one more time. They go from the possibility of a full hold on first to, even if you lose this fight, you made it all the way to third.
Yeah, you're in a decent spot. Blade use and it
not great.
Just like Pods. Yeah, it doesn't get anything.
It gets completely nothing. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Delaware even. Cax decides that's not going to matter too much, though. Beat drop from Hyper, trying to buy as many meters as they can. False, playing it patient, playing it calm, cool, and collected, just stalling as long as they need to, because with the spawn advantage this team has, the win should be inevitable on this defense. It's the offense, though. They've set their own win condition, and it's a heck of a lot further than they probably wanted it to be.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal here for Maryville, but I think they knew what they were doing with the swaps that they made. They knew there was a pretty good chance of, hey, this might backfire on us, and if it does, okay, we can try and figure it out later on. But for Delaware, hey, you take it. You know, if they give you an inch, take it for a mile, and that's at least what they were able to do very close to the end of this map, but definitely still a lot of room here for Maryville to try and work with, knowing that, hey, this is Maryville we're talking about. If they turn on the switch, you know, this attack could be done in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, Maryville is looking for an opportunity to strike here, and I'm wondering just how exactly they're going to be doing that. Do we default back to the Widowmaker and the Hanzo, right? Do we just kind of stick with what we know? Do we go for something a little bit faster, like a Nano Blade composition? And it feels like Maryville might lock that, but we talked about that in, roughly 35 seconds when they have to really lock it in. Delaware, though, I mean, we're not on King's Row, Salty.
Yeah, we're not on King's Row, which
I
makes
don't
me
hate it.
I think they're going for the spawn hold here, which I don't mind. Because you know you need to make up some time. So my question is for Maryville, how do you want to try and counteract this? Because it is almost like the Havana hold, right? Like,
yeah,
you're
absolutely.
going to try and hold this door. The other door has a possibility for the rotate, but it's not as advantageous. And they've done a great job actually just hiding in this room as well. So I don't think Maryville actually know it's coming.
Well, False hasn't even picked a character yet, but it's going to be Diva. So Maryville comes in with a lot of speed on their side. They put the wall up and don't catch anybody with it, unfortunately. So it's not going to be the lineup they were expecting. I think somebody snuck through. It might have been Ship Lee, who's already out there spamming rockets from the far side. Yeah, pretty far away and able to get these rockets online. Looking for some damage. The wall goes up, but I think this Pharah is a really good kind of anti-Havana hold counter because there's a lot more space on Junkertown than you see on Havana, right? Havana has 3 entrances all on ground level. This has 3 entrances, one of them above the primary door, so the Maywall strategy doesn't work nearly as well as it traditionally would. However, Delaware knows when to back out. They know when to kind of call it a lost fight and re-engage, and they were able to find Chicken Doge, and that's the opening they needed. Brig offline. Oh, this might be a free limb. Oh no, Kak isn't able to get the arrow in time, the shielding there to keep Pod up and running. Already a minute off the clock, and Delaware fighting strong against Maryville.
Yeah, so far a decent hold here at the beginning of first phase, but as you said, this far could run rampant if it's not checked out, but Nate's able to find the first kill.
Cyrus goes down, but I have a hunch Sully will not be long for this world. I was correct, but not nearly in the fashion I assumed. Firestrike, 2 of them! Chicken Doge out of the air! Goes down. Ideal Warrior, his non-sponsored Gamer Liquid activated right now. Kakot and Quirky finding some elims. Finally, the Wrecking Ball swap making waves for Maryville. But Delaware, I mean, I've got to say, putting up a notably better fight than I anticipated against a top 3 team like Maryville.
Yeah, at least able to hold for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
When, you know, the Maryville comp is built to try and break that down. They played their architecture really well. It's just, obviously, it's only going to work for so long. And now the issue is, you enter in the rest of this map where the Dragons will just deny you the touch unless you go low ground. Seems like Clark is trying to make sure that job is finished, but they will recontest.
Recontest is online here. The Pharah swap staying perhaps a little longer than I'd like, but if it ain't broke, certainly no need to fix it. Oh, I hate to see it. You get the elim, but you do not get the res, and now a nano to boot. It's gonna be a 1-1 trade. Cyrus finds Sully, and all of a sudden False on this Wrecking Ball looking better and better because it becomes harder to kind of call target focus when somebody's in your front line and your back line and on top of your supports. There's a lot to work with. A beat drop from Hyper is one of the more questionable ultimates I think we've seen today.
I think they might have thought that, hey, they're going to be really aggressive here, when in reality, they were waiting for a few respawns to go through, so nobody's really there, and Maryville able to claim it as False. Well, that was great ball tech, for one.
Yeah.
The minefield kind of threw him in an awkward spot to where, you know, Ideal Warrior was stuck on point. Nobody else could really join him. So at that point, you kind of have to throw the beat on there almost to clear minds, I guess. But 3.5 minutes for Maryville now in second phase in Delaware. Do you at least start making those swaps?
You get a Blizzard from Pond, and that kind of does scream, I'm going to swap soon, and I wonder if that's kind of what's going to be going higher. Is that going to be, you know, an ultimate to try and focus out the Wrecking Ball, to try and slow him down, get the team collapsed on top of him, or is it more of a, I'm going to swap next time I die, and I don't want to lose the ult? Ideal Warrior on the Winston, I think it's going to be a really good counter to Wrecking Ball because they shouldn't really look at each other. It's going to be doing the job that Wrecking Ball is also trying to do, right? Living in the back line, pulling focus away from your team, and unfortunately, Delaware really starting to fall a bit, like dominoes here. I mean, it is just one after the other after the other. I don't think we've really seen a full regroup since that first point cap. This is the second fight post, and still we've yet to see a full 5. I'd really like to see Delaware get out of here quickly. Just die. You've lost this fight. Just call it and hit the road. You've got out another ultimate too, which is huge. Raj offline. I think there's time for a recontest. I'm not sure they died fast enough.
I think the chances there, it will be Pod that does touch. I just don't know if it's worth it at this point, though. Because, yeah, it'll be 3 meters. Nobody will touch. I think Pod and Hyper were potentially in positions to touch. But at this point, you just want to make sure everybody can stay alive. Because, as you said, it's been a long time since they've had just everybody in the same area. And now they can at least start and regroup here on the high ground until False knocks them off.
False is going to be able to find some value, but Pod gets the lineup instead. Chicken Doge is the one to fall, and a Nano pretty darn quiet, especially as now 2 players have been falling in the moment there for the University of Delaware. Hyper is going to be able to find Cyrus. A bit of chaos here.
Yeah, the Nano doesn't get anything. It just seems like they miscalculated it. They don't have grapple, so they can't get back up on the high ground, and it will be False getting taken out by Ideal Warrior. I just don't know if it'll be enough quite yet as Maryville continue to push it. At least that's a good trade if you're Kakon.
A great trade indeed. And University of Delaware finding themselves in a bit of an uncomfortable position here. Maryville University, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to make it just 60 meters. Delaware really working on this chaos composition, making sure that Maryville's not completely sure where to turn. Wow, great accuracy from Cyrus, but unfortunately just can't land the elim. Tries to catch the Winston out. This is truly chaotic, Salty. There's not even a team fight happening. It's just a series of 1v1s.
Yeah, it's just Delaware trying to fight for this high ground so badly, and Shipley tries to send the pulse bomb up, not able to get anything, and now Nate will just try and deal with people on point and does find one.
Finds that elimination here. Is going to be that high noon. Chicken Doge finds the lineup as well. The beat drop from Hyper is going to be enough to keep Delaware up and running, but now using that beat drop in response to not much makes it difficult because now they know you don't have it going into the next fight. A Pulse Bomb or a Dragons or even a Nano, a Wrecking Ball in the back line again can wreak havoc knowing the beat is offline. I love the farm of the support and ultimates here. They want to make sure Delaware has a little bit more time to get them online, and with only a Kitsune in the pocket of Delaware, Salty, is it going to be enough to stop Maryville?
I think it might, only because this fight, Maryville did make some swaps. Kakat is on the Cassidy, and False is on the Diva as well. So they don't have a lot of ults in their favor. Nano will go on to False to try and initiate, but they don't really need that much.
We see False going in there, finding the headshot onto Ideal Warrior, and that takes that Winston offline early. Diva tends to be a great Winston counter and can really make the space against the team once Winston has gone down. Omega in the perfect spot to help you get into that back line. 2 minutes left. Delaware has burned over half the timer Maryville had, and they're only one fight away from really being able to stop momentum and drastically increase their chances of a win. The problem, Salty, they've got to touch because there's less than 10 meters left.
Yes, and it will be Ideal Warrior D-Mac right away. Now that Bio Nade will get sent it back, lanes on the nades, and yeah, I just don't know if anybody has the health to touch it. No, nobody even is able to get on. Pod is late to touch, and Maryville able to sneak away map 1 after it. It's looking, a little creative from their side at times.
Creative is certainly a word for it, Salty. I mean, we are definitely seeing a circumstance in which Maryville is struggling, I think, more than we anticipated. I really didn't think we were going to be seeing this matchup in kind of the circumstance we did, but it really was an opportunity in which they were able to play a couple of unconventional picks. They were able to find some value, and all things considered, a win is a win, right? Why does my camera keep doing that? I'm fully just on camera going to go ahead and do this because my camera keeps tilting up, and I don't know what's going on, but I've got to say, Maryville, a win is a win, right? Not as close as they wanted, but map 1 is done, and this is only a best of 3.
Yeah, so you only need one more, and it's going to be pushed for the next map. And I will say, Delaware didn't look great this weekend on push. It is their one game that, they looked a little shaky on at times. They were able to win a few of them. I think they went 2-1 on Esperanza, so we'll see if that's what they decide to go. But it wasn't their greatest. If this was Control, I think it opens it up a little bit more because that was their strongest map type of the entire weekend. But instead, it will be pushed. And it almost seems like Maryville is like, hey, we're going to try a few comps during this. Because again, nobody really plays Junkertown that much. So I think that was the one little added variable there. It's like, hey, nobody really plays this. We can experiment a few things and also feel out what Delaware want to run for map 2.
Yeah, going into map number 2, like you said, is going to be push. We're finding out which map that's going to be. Of course, there's only 3 maps to choose from, right? You've got a 33% chance. We saw Esperanza earlier, very one-sided map. Hopefully, we're not going to be seeing that same map again, and we aren't. We are getting a little bit of variety. NQS coming in next. New Queen Street, technically the oldest push map in the game, and one that I feel like we see a lot at the highest level, at the pro level. And with Maryville coming out of the Pro-Am, you've got to assume they've been playing this map quite a bit.
Yeah, I have a feeling they've been scrimming this for a long time.
And this is the King's Row of push maps. It really is.
Yes, and they did pretty decent in the Pro-Am, may I add. So it's not like they don't have momentum. It's not like, hey, we went 0-4 in Pro-Am. We got pushed around, a.k.a. Redbirds. But this time, Maryville, they have the momentum, doing well in that Pro-Am. Sorry, ISC, you guys are great. Just had a rough weekend. But they have the momentum, and they got a lot of strats out of that. So I think it is for Delaware. It's almost like, hey, they had such a better strength of schedule this weekend to get ready for this last chance qualifier.
Yeah.
It may just hurt a little bit extra to try and push through. And now he's got to hope that you find something in that magic hat of tricks to at least fool them around to get to a map 3.
Yeah, no, somebody I've been seeing a lot of on New Queen Street is Junker Queen. I've been seeing her just increasingly chosen on this map, and I would love to see that once again because it calls for a notably faster team composition. Junker Queen is a tank the way Doomfist used to be a DPS, right? Kind of in that swapped role where she plays like a DPS, but in reality is in that tank role, and you have to make up for it in a lot of unique ways. You have to have an incredibly high damage threshold. You need to use the cooldowns appropriately because if you're not fulfilling one of those 2 virtues, you're crumbling, and your team is often crumbling behind you. Junker Queen is a very high-risk, high-reward character, and one that I'm hoping we get to see because I think she can be really entertaining.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if False tried to pull it out. Of all the people to pull out the JQ again, it would be False. So I would not be shocked if it did come out. For Delaware, I'm assuming they're running that May Ryan rush that we saw during the close hold. I think it's the easiest composition for them to run here.
It worked,
something
too.
that they've probably ran. Yeah, it worked for a minute and a half. And this is the map that definitely benefits off those May walls. Those hallways are just the width for that May wall to completely fit. And yeah, it's exactly what they will be running. And instead, I will be, at least so far, false on the Diva. They will not give us the J-Key that we thought we would get initially. But
hey, she's
Nate,
tough, though.
I wonder if they stick to this Bastion or if this is just being a little me. I could see it working both ways, but I have a feeling with what Maryville's running, it may not work as well as they would like.
Yeah, around the time CECC had our Western qualifier, we talked a lot about how Bastion was really making his way into the forefront as a DPS, has really become a much more relevant character. And, you know, he had a couple of changes when he came into Overwatch 2, but they all seem relatively beneficial for this character. And I really am going to be curious if Nate stays on this for long. Is this a, hey, we'll try fight one, and if it doesn't work, I'll swap? Or is this kind of a lock-in choice? With Clerky on the other side, with False playing this Diva, it's going to be a little bit harder to run, as of course she has that defense matrix, one of the strongest characters' abilities in the game. And that's a pretty aggressive 1-1 trade. All of a sudden, no supports online for Maryville, and False caught out by their lonesome here on main point. Falls underneath for the mini, and I'm really surprised to not see Delaware just immediately collapsing on top of that.
Yes, I think at this point, like, hey, we want to make sure we gain continue to have high ground control, and now False will just try and get out. And they are able to, and the spot will start making its way towards the opposite end, but not a bad start, I guess, for Delaware. But I think now Maryville knows what is running. Yeah, this might be a little bit bad.
How about that bad start comment? Things all of a sudden start to feel a little bit worse for Delaware. Sully caught out in the back line by Shipley, and Pod is not going to be able to get out of there in time either. 4 meters online, so painfully reminiscent of Wichita, where they found 6 meters and then unfortunately never had cart control again. So hopefully Delaware is going to be able to answer back. You talked about how push continues to be one of Maryville's weaker map types. Maybe this is them trying to show us that they're bringing something new to the table.
Yeah, and they will already swap off the Bash. It's like, oh, they're not on a rush with the run? Okay, yeah, we need to get off this, like, now. And Shipley has this pulse. There's already a few in the back. Yeah, they spawn camp Pod to start off the fight.
Devastating. I mean, May is such a pivotal character in a matchup like this, in a composition like this. Warrior does block the pulse, but doesn't block all those bullets. And hey, that's an ultimate down the drain, right? Now, unfortunately, one of the fastest charging in the game, but we'll take him where we can get him. First spawn should be just around the corner from Maryville, but Salty, they're not even going for the bot right now. That was like 10 or 12 seconds. Nobody even moved it.
Yeah, they're just so focused on gaining the high ground, and Pod will find Cat God, who I think tried to get a little overzealous in where they were trying to position, and now the rest of Maryville will try and fade away. But as you said, they won't be able to get this tick quite yet.
No tick online, and the chance is actually decreasing as Chicken Doge is going to fall to that hyper-supportal combat as well. Transcendence from Cyrus here. That's really a fascinating choice. The beat drop from Hyper has to answer it out. They need to have that invincible damage online. False goes up. I assume a heavy bomb comes down, and certainly it will. Let's see if it's able to pick up any eliminations. Nothing yet. The remake falls low as well. Pack returns to the fight with an aimbot online, and the Visor finds 2 before Helix takes them out of the equation. False might be able to clean things up with Shipley to boot, and it's a lot of ultimates used, but Maryville finds themselves on top and finds that first spawn advantage.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't be letting it go either. As Delaware, they're banking on this shatter. It already is kind of falling out of their hands, it feels like. As Maryville, yes, they get down in a fight, they pop an ult. Delaware try to respond, and Maryville just have the better answer every single time. And now Shipley has his pulse bomb. They can try and bait out their mortality early, but there's no transcendence, no sound barrier of any sort to try and counter.
Yeah, that sound barrier came out earlier in a moment where I didn't really like to see it. Very confused what just happened there, but you do get slept, and Ideal Warrior will unfortunately go down. Pod is going to be able to find Chicken Doge. That might be enough to clean things up, especially as the Shatter swings deep into the back line. Hits that Diva offline, the tank missing now, and Ideal, I'm not sure what the ideal was there, but it's not one that I'm particularly fond of. Maryville University, 90 meters online right now, and they are looking for an any % speed run of New Queen Street.
It definitely was not the ideal outcome there for Ideal Warrior. 100 meters and counting now for Maryville. The majority of the team has retreated, knowing that, hey, we need to reset. It'll only be Shipley trying to push that a little bit longer, and they will pay their life for it. But it only takes a few seconds for them to get back, and Delaware already need to get a lot of fights going their way.
You know, it looks like things are not going to start well. A 1-1 trade once again. Poor Chicken Doge. Every time they get back to the fight, they just get deleted. But I feel like you can't get that mad when your team is steamrolling like this. Even without the Ana online, they've been doing a consistently good job of keeping University of Delaware in their spawn. Tack falls to Hyper. Shipley not far behind, and a party in the spawn room for Maryvale is a sign of hope for Delaware, but that sign of hope is cut down, and all of a sudden it is a 2-2 trade, and Maryville still has a very real chance of at least keeping that forward spawn alive.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't be giving it up anytime soon. That was just a ridiculous shot from Cyrus to try and to take out Nate. And now the dives in the back, and Kaka will get caught out during it. Shipley will try and finish and baits out Lamp.
Baited Lamp here offline. Nate falls to Cyrus there. That Kiriko really starting to hit those shots when they matter most. Sully also missing, and Delaware's got to give up this fight. Half the time bank gone, and Maryville, 100 meters basically in the lead.
It's starting to get a little bad here for the Blue Hens, and I know it was already looking a little poor, but I think the Hens are starting to lose their wings, and I think at some point might get taken down here by the Saints as Maryville just keep on pushing. They have the Kitsune Rush, but they want to use it just pure offense this next fight.
High noon from Nate. I think it's going to be a pretty silent one until Falls tries to fly away from it. The bomb online. You've got to hide behind the bot, and barely able to make it out of there alive. Sully picks up Cyrus, but they cannot get the DMAC away in time. Nate cannot get healed fast enough either, and it looks like it is going to be Falls who picks up that elimination. 106 on the board, and oh, you missed it, but you get the vacuum pin. Falls will finally fall, and University of Delaware, 4 minutes left to make it 100-something meters here, Twin Salty. I'm not loving the chances right now. Something's got to give.
Kakkad, okay, that's a little inventive. A little bit of a duck for those inventive bullets from Nate. Maybe just trying to pay his homage to Kakkad, trying to dodge those bullets. And in return, Cyrus just takes out one. Oh, Cyrus, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him, Cyrus. They're able to find two.
It just feels like that happens every fight. It feels like Delaware has the numbers advantage, and then Maryville, somebody just gets two. And it's like, wow, all right, whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, just a cool GG, go next kind of moment. You see a little bit of action from Falls. Going to get booped out of the high ground there. Shipley already able to take Nate out of the equation. 3.5 minutes left. This map taking a lot longer than I think a lot of us expected it to, but a win is a win regardless, and this Ideal Warrior gets bioed at 190. Is Falls going to be able to pick up even just one more to make that space? Jumps into the fight. A pretty silent Nano, and what was supposed to be a solo shatter turns into two. Ideal Warrior falls before they can follow up on the elim, and that hurts there, Salty.
Yeah, it hurts, and Delaware at least going to attempt to try and get some progress here, and at least Pod's able to find one, but again, yeah, it's just 1-for-1 trades all over the place. Pod won't be able to really push this too far as Kakkad will be on the rotate, and yeah, we got 3 minutes left. I think if Maryville wanted this to be done, it would be done by now. Yep. I think they're just trying to have a little bit of fun here in these last few minutes and see if they get some clips for the reel, and it seems like Delaware's kind of just has to take the beating at this point.
You've got to do something one way or another there. Cyrus is going to be able to find not one, but two. The supportal combat really coming to life for Maryville here as Cyrus continues to be an incredible player through and through and keeping Maryville on the up and up. 2.5 minutes left, and Maryville taking their sweet old time to find this 2-0 victory.
Yes, they will just regain high ground at this point. Okay, is this the end that we think is all coming? It'll be false. Go ahead and early. Kakkad able to finish. And this spot now about 20 or so meters away from finishing it off, and it just seems like, yeah, no matter what the Blue Hens try, nothing's working.
Iris just MVP right now, cleaning house on this lineup, just dominating. There goes Ideal Warrior, and that should bring this map to a close. You referenced kind of hitting the button at the beginning of this series, and holy cow, did Maryville hit the button right there and then to give themselves that 2-0 victory over the University of Delaware. Unfortunately, that is all we will be seeing of Delaware here today, but Maryville moves one step further into the bracket.
Yes, moves into the final four of at least this bracket, top 8 overall, and
yes,
it just seemed like, yeah, Cyrus especially just had the time of their lives. These kunais were not missing. Just look at that, able to find one, able to find the second right after. They just don't miss with the headshots with the kunais, and Maryville feeling very confident about themselves, and especially with Northwood out of the equation here in bracket 1.
Seriously.
I think they've definitely emerged as the favorite to try and face at least a top seed UC Irvine, but I think that bracket 2 has a little bit more flexibility at who could actually come out.
Without a doubt. We'll talk a little bit more about that bracket when we come back from this break. Go ahead, use this time, get a snack, get water, do something. We'll be right back here with more CECC Last Chance Qualifier in just a couple of minutes.
https://twitter.com/Septilence. Don't put that in. I'll get in trouble. So that's worth it. Did I get too close to the camera on that one? A little bit too close. Should I back up a little bit? Okay, sorry about that. My bad. I've been awake for probably close to 32 hours. Like, I have to hold my keyboard the normal way, because if I do it, I feel like I have arthritis if I hold my keyboard like that. It blows my mind. I can never do that. Like this guy right here, he's got his keyboard off at an angle. His isn't that extreme. There's a kid all the way down to the far end who has his keyboard all the way at a horizontal. That's really cool. They're going to be at that table right over there. Public information? Oh, I don't know. But this isn't live, so it doesn't matter. It's not live, but you and I know. Yeah, we know. I'm not going to tweet it. Awesome. What game do you play? Smash Bros. Who do you play? Is it embarrassing? Is it like Villager? Yeah. Is it Villager? Am I spot on? Oh my god. Is it the Ice Climbers? No. Is it Game & Watch? No. Is it Pichu? No. Is it Wario? No. I can keep going. I think I can name every character in the game. Is it, did I say the Ice Climbers already? Yeah, you said them. Is it them? No. Is it them a second time? No. Okay, alright. Oh, is it one of the Links? Yes, it is. Is it Toon Link? It is. Oh, that is pretty embarrassing. That is rough. Who do you play?
I'll give you $20 if you guess correctly right now.
First try? Give me a single hint.
It's an obscure character.
Obscure character.
Not played very often.
Is it Wii Fit Trainer? Oh my god! I'm the interviewer for a reason, baby. I do what I do. I don't need the money. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. So Bowser Jr., Wii Fit, and I forgot already. Are you all lying to me? Am I being gaslit? No. Bowser Jr., Wii Fit, and you told me already. Oh, Toon Link. Yep. Where's my main support at? Who are we playing this weekend?
A lot of Brig.
A lot of Brig, really?
Brig Lucio, probably.
Brig Lucio, really? I shouldn't say that too loud. I don't want to give away your strategies. It's over-under?
What do you mean over-under?
Like, do we think we're going to podium? Do we think we're going to come in last place?
Not last place.
Not last place?
Certainly not last.
What about, 5th place?
That's doable.
That's doable? That's winnable? 3rd place?
Third place.
That's where things get dicey?
That's very doable.
Okay.
First place? That's very doable.
First place, very doable. Love it. That's the mindset. That's what he loves to hear. Yeah. Oh my god. Hold on. Cut the cameras. Well, who are you? Hello. Oh my god. I saw you earlier. I saw the back of your shirt. And I was like, I know that name. I know him. It's a quick play game. They Q-sniped each other at land. I thought it was a scrim. It's just unlucky. Are you actually a Villager player? Yeah. How do you feel about Villager being notably worse in Smash Ultimate than they were in Smash 4?
I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know? You never played Smash 4?
No.
Oh, that's all right. Nobody's gonna hold that against you. Now, who do you play?
I play Robin.
Okay, wow. Did you know Robin has the lowest pick rate in the game?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Come on, the LEDs, it looks just like Samus.
Huh?
Do you disagree?
I guess I can see
The
it.
Samus vibe. Show the controller to the camera. We're interviewing. This is recording, by the way. Surprise.
Not my controller.
Who do you play?
I play Peach.
Oh, wow, I like that. Who do you play?
I play the Shotos, mostly Kazuya.
No, you lose against Kirby. That's just like a statistics thing.
Yeah. It's maybe.
This is a death match, and I think they're all in the same one. They're all on Icebox. Are they all in the same death match? Maybe. Who knows? I feel like none of them can hear me. I want to approach somebody, but no one can hear. They all have both their headphones on.
What's up?
How do we think we're doing?
I think we're doing pretty good. Yeah.
What's your kitty?
We're looking at 10 and 6 right now.
Oh, hey, that's 3rd, dude. That's better than I expected. Who's bottom frag right now? I want to go talk to them. Ian? Hey, how do you think we're doing so far?
It could be better.
Could be better? You're one of those rough days?
Well,
Let's go find more people to harass. Yeah. Where's Boise State? Who's your favorite to play?
Oh, right now it's got to be either Chamber or Breach.
What country is Cypher from?
Oh, dude. It's Moroccan, right?
It is Morocco! Oh my god, I don't think anyone is gonna get that. Oh, you're good. You're good. All right, see you later. Let's go harass Boise State more. Who is this? What school is this? Boise?
This is Boise.
Oh man, that's okay. Boise's still got really good odds. A Large Bagel, one of their tank players, Nerdy Bird, they're off tank. Both of them not here. A little bit scary, if we're being honest. Getting warmed up, getting ready to cast some players. No, not cast, interview. Change your mindset, change your mindset.
Words.
No, but last words until we come back.
Oh, okay.
Because we're leaving.
Enjoy.
Oh, that was good, that was good. Anything from you?
How are you doing, Polly?
Awesome, thank you so much for your time.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the ECAC Top Plays of the Week. I am Septilance, and I'm super excited to walk through these with you so you can see all of the great moments we are getting out of collegiate esports. One of my favorite things about these seasons is as they go on, as the years continue to pass, the skill ceiling just gets higher and higher, and the teams get better and better. Starting things off in Week 1 and 2, these teams came out the gate swinging. Let's take a look at what they were ready to bring out in these early weeks. Valorant is a game all about risk versus reward, and Sin from NYIT wanted to show us just how much he was willing to risk to get that great reward of a round win.
Sort of forced to pop off, maybe get a little bit more sniper play, but these direct, tight angles make it tough. You have Axorus that actually gets a wallbang headshot onto Prime. Oh, that timing on the paranoia works so well.
Yo, give it up for the util, bro. Sin's gonna pick up 3 into the site. It's a lurk on its way from the chamber, but unless you're gonna spam through this box, you're not getting anything done, and Panda won't even let him get that far.
Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a game that can be decided in milliseconds, and Waka, one of the best players from SUNY Canton A Squad, wanted to show us just what they can do with only a second and a single stock on the board.
Cena, sledge option gonna be charging forward smash, going a little early. They're not quite getting what you want. Drop shield after first hit, and Pin getting hit by the kick. High percent. There is the stun into Claw. That Claw could have been charged for a lot longer. Oh my goodness, that's a forwarder into stage with the stage spike and then upping immediately after. What a sick.
1 point in Rocket League can never make a team feel comfortable, but Driftsy wanted to show us that not only was he going to pick the pace up, but he wasn't going to let his team down.
Defensive test with flying colors, though they couldn't get out. And that is the important part at the moment. Clears a must for UA, and it's just not in the cards at the moment.
Dripsy! Dripsy connects off the backboard! What a shot! I watched it unfold slowly! You stopped speaking at just the right moment.
Valorant is often called a team-based shooter, but sometimes it can't just be about the team. Sometimes you gotta have those hero plays. Spec wanted to spray and pray and was actually able to save the day for SVSU, tying up the series 7-7.
Hard B push here, 2 Omen smokes coming out. 1, oh, Spec just finds 3. What? Spraying through the smoke? Oh, 1 Spec, that's not legal, man. That's not legal. This is match day 2 of the ECAC League. You can't be doing that right now. Spec just goes with the call.
Here in this clip, Fanshawe finds themselves with their backs against the wall, 20 seconds left on the clock, and they're desperate to take down Wake Forest. They don't have anything to get through this team, they don't have any weapons on the field, but with Jackie Moon in the wings, at least they had a sniper.
Apparently. Guy's gonna believe all the shots. Oh, a sniper! Jackie Moon from about midway through. What a shot right here from Jackie.
Wow, good eye sniper. Yes, sir. Jackie Moon puts us on the right side. A little bit more to the left. This one would have been...
Here in this clip, we're going to get a great moment from a Pac-Man, and as a Pac-Man player, I was super excited to see it. We're going to hear a lot of praise from our commentators giving Mosey those compliments of choosing Snake against Pac-Man, a great counter pick. They were super excited to see a Snake on the field, but even without their blessing, Trollery does not yield.
Approach, but like you said, he's trying to play this safe because losing a stock right now for Concord would be really bad. And, well, a little bit of commentator's curse there. We kind of willed that one into existence. Oh, man. Oh my goodness! What?
Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Septilance, how could that be all we got from weeks number 1 and 2? Please tell me there's more. If you like what you saw, you've got to go check out ECAC Esports on all social media platforms. Please see what they're bringing to the table. It is great collegiate esports week after week. On the bright side, folks, this is just the beginning. We've got the whole rest of what is guaranteed to be a great season ahead of us. Thank you so much for joining me for this recap, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Collegiate Esport Commissioners Cup. I am Septilence, and I get a really neat opportunity here. We get to interview Burns from E United. Burns, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. We're on day 2 of the event. It's been a fantastic one. I ran into you yesterday, but we were running around like chickens with our heads off, and it has been, I mean, how has your time been here? What has this event kind of been like?
Yeah, it's great. I just love being in the passion pit, seeing all the college kids go at it. Reminds me of like an old school MLG event almost, but being like in an epicenter of the passion pit, seeing Rocket League, Valorant, Overwatch, and Smash, just it's amazing to see all of these schools compete against each other and get a shot to play on this main stage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And tell us a little bit about kind of what is E United, right? Because we know that you're here, we know you're here to represent them, but for the people that don't know, what is E United?
Yeah, E United was founded in 2016. We're a professional esports organization. We've been in League of Legends, Overwatch, all the way to Battle Right, I think it was called back in the day. Right now in 2022, we are in Gears of War, Halo, Rocket League, PUBG, and announcing a new title tomorrow. I know, get the small intel here. So it's a lot of fun. I went pro in Call of Duty when I was younger. I ended up playing my last event under E United, switched in 2016, and I've been the GM ever since. So it's a true blessing to be able to stay with an organization for as long as I have, and we love giving back to the collegiate community. I actually graduated from Full Sail in 2013.
I was a little confused about the jersey.
Yeah, so the Full Sail boys are out of the tournament, unfortunately, but I decided I would rep them today in their honor. Yeah, it's just great. I love working with younger individuals who are trying to find their path in esports, and these college kids are really showing what they're all about.
Yeah, so to be kind of an ex-pro player, where a collegiate scene at the time didn't exist, especially not to the scale right now, what is it like to see such high levels of success, such high levels of support for something that you weren't able to kind of get as much support in at the time, something that was looked down on a lot more?
Yeah, I'm extremely jealous. That's all I can say. Full Sail started their program in 2017. When I was there in 2011 and 12, it was just a bunch of nerds running around, just creating their own clubs. I was still striving to go pro, but now you have these opportunities to play on main stage, play in front of thousands of people. We just had locals back in the day. You would show up and play for like $200, $100. It was like lunch money. Now these kids are playing for scholarships. They're playing for fame. They could pop off here and end up getting a sponsor for $10,000 or $20,000 from somebody. So the opportunities are just endless at the moment, and I think it's just great that you basically can prove yourself and make anything happen right now.
It's instead of kind of what you had gone through, being in college and also trying to go pro, these kids can try to go pro while being in college. It's hand in hand instead of those two kind of battling kind of matchups. So if somebody's trying to go pro, right, they're like, Burns, I want to be you one day. I want to be the GM of E United one day. What is that first step to really take it from a hobby to a passion, to a job?
Yeah, I think I've told this story a lot, but it's really, I thought about going pro every night before I went to bed. Like, I lived and breathed Call of Duty for years. It was my life. I had to skip dinner sometimes. I had to skip family functions, and my family didn't really understand, but it was what I wanted to do, and it all worked out. But at the end of the day, you always need to kind of be organized. You have to have the ability to not put all of your eggs in one basket. So even though it worked out for me, there are so many opportunities in esports. There's being a caster or interviewing people. There's working in production. There's helping people get waters. Like, literally, there are so many opportunities. So, oh, this crowd's awesome.
They're going crazy, dude. They stayed on their last life right now.
Off subject, Smash, regardless if it's middle school, high school, college, it pops off all the time. I love it.
Well, Burns, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, guys.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to ECAC Top Plays of the Week. I am Septilence, and let me tell you what, right away, if you thought last week's clips were great from weeks 1 and 2, your minds are going to be blown here in week number 3. Let's take a look at what these players brought to the table this week. We wanted a banger to kick things off strong in our 8th slot of the week, and let me tell you what, CU definitely coming in clutch. They're already up a couple of points, but they want to make sure they can walk away victorious in game number 1 with a pretty good pinch from Pancake.
Yeah. Ooh. Another good shot. Pancake with that shot.
Oh, get your syrup and your chocolate chips out, because this pancake is looking tasty.
With only 60 seconds on the clock, the University of Kentucky was feeling great. They'd already won a fight, Midtown was within their grasp as they only needed to secure one more fight win to full hold Bryant University. But Klaus knew, sometimes it's not just about winning. Sometimes it's about sending a message.
Yeah, they've got to move. There's the initial hack. Klaus down like the cat among the pigeons. And there's not a lot of coming back from that one. The fun, it's...
RPI found themselves with their backs against the wall on bind. They were 2-round losses away from losing the map and the series being tied up 1-1, going all the way to map number 3. They needed a hero. They needed somebody to guide them to the promised land, and it was Moses with a 3-piece that secured the deal and won them their 9th round.
The team, Southern Arkansas, will make it free and clear, taking on the site, unless Moses able to block it down with a 3K! It's all up to the singular Briani, who's nowhere to be found!
That must have been, he just walked through.
CU did such a good job this week that we want to highlight them not once, but twice. This time the attention pulling over to Lyric, who gives us a great aerial coast-to-coast play and seals the deal with what looks like a 0-degree goal to put CU just 1 point further in the lead.
Oh, that was beautiful. Beautiful aerial goal.
Could have said it better myself. Look at how Lyric creates space. And the accuracy. Does it get any better than that?
It really doesn't.
For this next clip, we're jumping over to a Smash crew battle where things are looking good. All 3 players alive on both sides, and Bounce with 3 stocks against their opponent, Sam Kalta. Bounce finds an amazing snipe off stage to guarantee Sam's first stock be taken off the board, putting Bounce's team in the lead.
Unlike
but that nice neutral B off
beautiful
stage.
Snipe. You love to see that one.
Week number 3 was the week of Rocket League, the week of CU in particular. Lyric, just when you think this team can't come out any stronger, finds a 3-second goal against CMCC that just showed the dominance CU was willing to come out with here in week 3.
We are 3
Oh my god.
seconds into game
You don't get much
number
better
2.
than that. That was awesome.
Oh man, that was beautiful. Ceramics, pedal to the metal right there. Foot on the gas pedal.
With a 1-round lead on Ascent, Suni Canton was feeling a little bit shaky, and it was up to Lil J to make some big moves.
You got dash. Not gonna go for it. Get all the way out of that one and fake the dash away so they know about him close. Well, the Roomba will give it away. Let's tuck the nade though, so definitely gonna stay alive.
Party's
Okay.
over.
Good. All right.
Spike down B.
Jinx, bro. You owe me a soda now.
Love that.
Oh, the timing.
I like the gust.
One enemy remaining.
Ace.
Classic Lil J ace on its way. Happy to have it. 5-3. Sunny Canton.
Things were looking bleak for the University of Kentucky on the 5th and final map, but the momentum started to shift when Klaus decided the chaos needed to end a little quicker.
Who just won't be able to survive on the point all that long. Yurik finds Rimru. High noon for 3 for Klaus at the last possible second to secure a cap and buy them a stay of execution.
And with that, folks, ECAC highlights of Week 3 have come to a close. Let me tell you, it's been a pleasure getting to reminisce on all these fantastic moments with you. Check your posture, drink some water, don't forget to love each other, and we'll see you next time.
We're at the Collegiate Esports Commissioners Cup. Let's make some noise.
Oh, and it's
gonna
jumped into it.
Corner judges go for 1, 2, yeah. He needs more.
They're doing even more here. You gotta touch the point. Mr. Collins walks it in. Toy Boy is gonna drop.
Knife him.
Right out in front.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Running.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back for week number 4 of the ECAC Top 8 Plays of the Week. Now, at this point, you're probably realizing two things. One, that's right, I'm going to be with you all season long as we jump through the best moments of every week. And number 2, wow, Septilence really only wears one thing when he's not on the clock. And I can't even defend myself, it's a comfortable outfit. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into week number 4 and see what these players brought to the table to beat out their opponents and be victorious. Wake Forest was already up a game, there were 4 minutes left on the clock, and they just couldn't find that first point to take the lead and put them up 2-0 in the series. But in a final moment of success, Malone clears it from one coast to another and finds an open goal, giving Wake Forest the lead once again.
These Champ 3 and Champ 2 is doing. I mean, seriously, look at Malone making advantages for himself.
Wow.
And he will put Wake Forest on the map. This game number 5 could just go their way.
I just want to say Malone just said, I'm going to show you what a Champ 3 can do. All right, buddy?
On a control map in Overwatch, your team must capture 100% of a point to succeed. 99 just won't cut it. King Rock from Keene University was fully aware of that and didn't just find a Death Blossom. He found a full-blown Death Garden to keep his team alive.
Sound barrier to go away as well, especially now that you have your own. It's going to be a little bit more breathing room. Doesn't look like the one. Okay, there we are. Now it's coming up big. This Reaper has bloomed.
That was just gorgeous amount of patience.
GVSU Blue found themselves up by 5 rounds, and it's always better to turn that 5 into a 6. It's incredible, however, that this team doesn't always need all 5. It can come down to just one player and how much they can really GVS do.
An Illusion delivers with efficiency. 3 in a row. No time left, even if they had the chance at Orbital Strike out of the last.
This battle between Muskingum and St. Francis was insanely close. Only 3 players in a round, and there were 1 player left on both sides, both down to their final stock. Things were looking pretty strong for St. Francis, their Luigi only at 40%, but it was up to Splat to do anything but.
Just keep him off stage with that Zair. Oh!
If
that spot right here for Teo.
If that block didn't disappear,
oh
no way!
Oh! Just steps on the
pressure plate.
A tale as old as time, Pace White versus Pace Gold, and Pace White's morale was through the roof as they won a fight, but little did they know, this was Lofi's world, and they wouldn't be living in it for much longer.
Going in with the blade.
Uh-oh, Blade is out. It's hacked. It doesn't matter, though. Slashes away for 2. Looking for a 3rd. Looking for 4. Won't get it just yet on the Blade. However, the slash and dash works out. Luffy's got 3. Looking for everybody else on this team. It's a white.
The Inkling versus Ganondorf matchup is not very good for Ganondorf, but let's be honest, which matchups are? In this clip, we're going to be watching as JD from Fisher learns the hard way that you never really want to meet an Inkling off stage.
Sooner if you don't find that kill confirm or that kill or a bomb off stage like that.
That bomb angle
is so good today.
Yeah, that bomb angle was beautiful.
Week 4 of ECAC Rocket League was absolutely insane. CMU and FC were tied up 0-0, but it was Gand who told FC they shall not pass game number 2.
Side of FC, they've only got 1 player for a moment there. They're trying to recollect, they're trying to reposition, but how do you position around a pinpoint accurate shot like this? Gand goes crossbar down for the first goal.
Adams in reverse, backed the defense off with that.
Whenever I'm on the mic for Valorant, you'll often hear the line, check your corners, repeated over and over and over again. And even with me not on the mic to tell them, I have a feeling this team may have learned that lesson.
Nah, he's got to take the shot.
Take it.
Oh yeah, just sounds of teammates running on through and come on dive. The 4K on a completely unaware trio. And it's 11-0 right now.
And those are the top 8 moments we thought deserved just a little bit more time in the spotlight of week number 4 here at ECAC. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're interested in what ECAC has going on, we got something happening nearly every day of the week. So check us out right here. Editor, it's a challenge for you. Wink, wink. And folks, this has been all from me. Thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy this, and we've got plenty of weeks down the line. Can't wait to see what comes of them.
there's so many other jobs as well that
That's
can
right.
translate out of this experience in esports. The only path is not just as a player. I think all of us are representative of jobs in esports, but it mirrors traditional sports in pretty much the same way. You've got, broadcasters, you've got production people, you've got marketing and sales, and now NIL and things like that. But really, esports is kind of a great accelerator for a lot of new businesses that are coming up in the metaverse and Web3, and there's a lot of new technology that is going to be needed. And so these STEM students that are also esports athletes are really the future workforce and leaders of tomorrow. And us, as well as all of our brand partners that we work with, really recognize this. And I think that's really, a key driver of why brands are in this space. They want to be part of building that future workforce and leadership and shaping it and supporting it. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting space to watch.
And we offer such a big, we offer such a big counterpart to traditional sports also, because it's a counterpart, but it's also the same, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you're traditional sports and they're done after their 2-a-day workout and they're done after their practice scrim, they're coming home to play Call of Duty and relax and put their feet up and get a drink and play video games. It grows their brain, problem-solving skills, and their hand-eye coordination while they're home. Hand-eye coordination, if you're a football player, massive skill. So it helps build those things while they're off the field. And then for us, vice versa, if you're an esports athlete, one of the errors I had growing up when I was competing in esports is that I was not active enough. I played sports, I competed a little bit, but I wasn't active enough truly when I look at it. So that's one area that esports players can learn from in terms of activity and physical and the marrying of both. People say, oh, sports and esports, video games. Not really. We're just kind of the tech industry's competitive form of competition, as to where traditional sports are more physical, hands-on. So I believe in the marrying of these two sectors and that they actually live together while also being counterparts.
Well, I think then to speak to something about marrying, right, from traditional to esports, that to me speaks to this whole new thing, at least again from you guys, right? You guys have more traditional sports background, right? Paul, Mike, and all of that. But I think let's talk NIL then, because I think that's something that I think is really interesting, that at least when I heard about it, right, of what we're trying to do with, esports athletes, schools, programs in general, because it wasn't something you would think normally, right? You could understand, right, football player on the field, star quarterback, it makes sense, right? The guy is somebody that everybody knows on campus, whether you're on the team, off the team, or you're just going to the school, it makes sense. But I think, nowadays it's not as common, or people don't think that they could be somebody that their name is out there, right? Or that they're known, right? As we're growing the space, as we're putting this together, it almost feels really interesting that, your star entry in Valorant, or your star forward on Rocket League, right? Whatever the case might be, now they can have NIL deals. It's a thing out there. And I think, I don't know, maybe Mike, you want to start off? But
I think, thank you for teeing that up. So I was talking for too long. I forgot to bring NIL into the mix. So it's a common occurrence, occupational hazard. So I would say that, so NIL for I'm sure most of you watching understand what it is, but NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness, that term has been utilized to describe the transition of traditional student athletes, NCAA athletes, and their ability to monetize their name, image, and likeness. It went live July 1st, 2021, and it has continued over the course of the last nearly 14 months now. It's an interesting term because it's been co-opted to describe the NCAA's approach to student athletes being able to make endorsement money or be able to monetize any part of their name, image, and likeness. But it's been around forever, right? We've had athletes endorsing brands for over 100 years. Babe Ruth of the New York Yankees was endorsing brands 100 years ago, and it has continued onward from baseball cards all the way through now, where we have lots of different integrations of how influencers can monetize their followings. So what I would say on the traditional side is it's still a very young space. There are a lot of stories out there regarding NIL that tend to focus on the negative or how out of control, I put in air quotes, it has gotten. But there is still a burgeoning marketplace for many more student athletes that are involved. About 17% of NCAA athletes are currently involved in NIL, but 65% more than that want to get involved and are curious how to get started. On the flip side, brands are challenged with a few different things in the space. There are 10,000 professional athletes in the United States. Once July 1st, 2021 hit, and you dump every NCAA athlete into that space, that's another 500,000. So brands that maybe didn't have a dedicated athlete strategy when there were 10,000 now have 500,000 plus that 10,000 to figure out how to activate who they are. That's a lot. I understand brands' hesitancy in some instances, but I can tell you that companies like us are on a daily basis educating brands and student athletes as to the software you can use, the types of activations you can get involved in, and how to utilize your followings, or if you don't have to or want to be a social media star, are there ways in which you can monetize it? Now, I know I described that under the umbrella of the NCAA, but I see it as being no different in esports. I think there are massive opportunities for people with followings to be able to use that and connect with brands. I think a company like us can help you to do that. And then beyond that, we can make sure that those transactions are safe for you. I think there are opportunities, not just at the individual competitor level, but at the program level to have a sponsorship go to that. I'm sure some of you out there listening and watching already have deals like that in place, but I think we can continue to enhance, augment those deals and make them more comprehensive and make them, first of all, I think product deals are perfectly fine, but I think we can get beyond that and grow some of these deals to a greater extent. Paulie, thoughts on that?
Yeah, what you said is right. So I'll put it in for layman's terms here for just the esports players, because I talk to so many of our athletes that compete in our CECC series that are currently still in college. And basically when Mike Blewett says NIL, what he's referring to is just very simple. If a brand or any sort of anyone wants to use your school's name or your brand or anything with you, there is a deal for you that can be put in place, whether it's product deal, whether it's a paid endorsement. You can, whether you're a macro influencer or whether you're a micro influencer, you can be paid for your services. So most of the people, when I talk to them, most of the, I won't say people, college athletes, they are, intimidated by the word. They don't really know what it means. They've never done anything with it before. And that's what it means. Any single time a brand or anyone at all wants to use your name or do a deal with you or do some sort of activation with you or your school, that's basically what the layman's terms, the NIL meaning comes from. And it's evolving in this space. There are so many brands that want to associate with micro and macro influencers and just get people involved with their products or their services. So all of you, collegiate athletes out there that are competing in esports, not only are we trying to broker those deals, but also keep your eyes, ears open, and don't be shy or scared to take these deals, because that's what I've heard the most, is that most of the time they're just scared to take them. They don't know what they are. They don't know if they're locking themselves into some agreement or terms that they're like going to give their name away or something too. So this is a really important space, and it's how you're all going to physically make money and build your brands along with company brands. So it's really important to learn. And my advice is to just get your feet wet. Don't worry about shying away. Read the contracts and take some of these deals, because growing your own brand is the future of what our industry is going to be, in my opinion.
Exactly. And if you follow in the pro space, you'll see that the pro teams are not only focusing on competitive play, but a lot of them are focusing on their brand and their cultural importance in the space. And so, one of the things that we do also is help athletes build their brand, build their following. And that's part of what Paulie and Kyler are doing on their side when we do this behind the scenes training. And so, building your brand, this is the creator economy. Anybody and everybody can be anything they want to be. And so we just really want to be the conduit that supports that across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. With that said, thank you everyone for, I think, great insights in terms of, for any of you that were watching this and maybe had questions about, what is Esports U, what is CSMG, who are they, what are they doing, what are our plans, right? We know we kind of tried to make a bigger splash in the spring, and we're excited to bring more stuff with you guys for the next year. But I think maybe as we close out here, I know we're slowly approaching on time then, but maybe let's go around the room with everyone here of just what's one thing that we're all excited for this next upcoming year. I know we touched on our plans and a lot of things, but if anyone had to speak, if you had to speak to just one thing of just what has you excited for us as a company, for us as the collegiate or college esports space, right? What's one thing that has all of you guys excited? And maybe we'll start with Mike, since our traditional sports guy, and we'll let Mike speak first.
Sure. So I would say many things on the traditional side, but I'll focus on esports. And I'd say the thing that I'm most excited about going forward is after yet another year of us doing a round of events, I'm excited that more schools will understand exactly what we're doing with our regional events and culminating in CECC and getting more schools involved. I think schools will be more excited to compete in our events because we've established it over the course of a year, and I welcome any and all conversations with getting people involved.
I think for me, I'm most excited about like the schools and conferences, Mike. That's amazing. And that's so exciting. I'm also excited about the brands that we're starting to be able to get involved in this. In our Commissioner's Cup in last May, we had over 14 brands, blue chip brands participating in our event. Barbasol, Microsoft, CDW, Morgan Stanley, New Street, Air Force. And so I think brands are really starting to get excited about being involved in college esports, and we're offering them a platform that not only gives them, a big event, a big yearly event, but also regular daily programming where they can have exposure in front of this audience that they want to build affinity for with their brand. So I'm super excited about seeing the brands get on board and help grow the space along with us. A rising tide lifts all boats. And I think that's probably one of our mottos here at CSMG and Esports U. We're growing our brand, but at the same time, we're also really growing the college esports space as a whole. And that's our goal, for it to be a healthy ecosystem for all parties involved.
Yeah, I agree there. And I guess for me, obviously always, seeing the collegiate esports space elevate, coming from competing, this didn't exist when I was competing, and just to see it now in literally within the last 5 years, probably really come to fruition and start just blossomed out of nowhere, and now becoming a space and seeing everyone, schools, players, productions, companies all elevate together has been really, really nice to see. But if I was the most excited for one thing, it would probably be the city where we're going to land for CECC 23. I'm really excited to know where we're going to be. There's a lot of great cities. I mean, I personally would love for it to come to New York, despite whether we got a positive bid or not. I want it to come to New York, but I just think the atmosphere in New York when you throw an event here is just super magical, especially in the summertime. But either way, I'm really excited to see where it lands. Tons of great cities, tons of great opportunities, and yeah, who knows? And I think that's going to be the most exciting process for me.
Absolutely. I won't speak to anything. I think I'm filling Paulie's job on this one because Paulie's more a panelist than this one. So, normally Paulie's the host, and I don't know. I think me personally, I'll just say something real quick. I'm just excited to keep telling your stories. If you're a student, if you're a program, let me know. Let us, reach out to us. We just ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to tell your story. And I think that's what has me most excited, because now I think we're getting to a point where people know us. I hope you guys trust us, and and we just want to keep expanding and growing the space. So with that, Paulie, I won't make you do the weird thing where you got to toss to yourself, unless you want to do that. I don't know. Actually, you might have a way of doing this. All right. Let's test it. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
how do you want to throw yourself here?
Well, that's going to conclude here the future of collegiate with CSMG and Esports U. Thank you so much to Angela, Mike Blewett, and Kyler Tandle for hosting our panel. And now back to myself for the day 3 of the CSMG Coaches and Director Summit 2022.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another ECAC weekly highlight clips. Now I feel like I've been saying this every week, but this week in particular is full of some really unique kind of once-in-a-lifetime plays and clips and moments, so I'm super excited to jump into it with all of you. We're kicking things off with one of my favorites, Overwatch 2. University of Albany finds themselves back against the wall, 1/3 of the point already capped, but with a lot of great communication and a little bit of teamwork, they're able to snipe this fight back quickly.
Controlling these fights, and now are able just to go with the blade. It's gonna get one, gonna be able to get a few with the cleanup as well. It's just near team kill are gonna come out. There it is, Loose Milk getting taken down.
Clip number 7 almost takes us back in time to Super Smash Bros. Brawl, where we would see Diddy Kong versus Meta Knight all the time. But unfortunately, EJJ from St. John's is about to find out that Benedictine was not kidding around.
Great catches Billy with the carry, dude. Oh, almost gets the near up shield. Oh, 5. Yo. Oh my god!
Ooh, and not enough height. Yep, that was really well done by Kid there.
Number 6 here in week 5 is going to be an amazing play from Wayne State. Amatsugachi finds a huge needle thread and guarantees the first point goal for Wayne State against their opponents.
I think I've seen this play before. Amatsugachi just waiting for the ball to plummet down in the zone, the scoring zone that is massive dunk to get Wayne State on the right foot.
I'm super excited about clip number 5 because it feels like the first Valorant clip we've had in a while. It's coming out from our friend Doodle V on the side of SFU. Uses every single knife in a Blitzstorm. It just can't find that elimination, but luckily enough, still had one knife in the chamber.
Getting from the backside, they're going to be able to swing on this one. They do have a sage that's behind them as well. EK is going to be able to give big value. They are able to maybe get the defusal. It's still beeping. They're still dropping. They have the right click. Trying to knife them. Oh, they jumped them like a ninja in the night. Oath is put on their back, and it's just that.
Sometimes as casters, we get a cool opportunity where a player's name matches up really well with what they're about to do, and I can't think of a better example than Bad News being the one to deliver that game-winning goal against Keen Blue in the 4th game on the side of Wayne State.
And double tap every time. Massive goal for Wayne State.
I mean, there wasn't even really a mistake. I mean, they had a player up for the potential shot, but the double tap opportunity that Bad News gave himself.
Now, I hope you're not sick of SFU because while they already had their time in this weekly reel, they're going to find themselves here in slot number 3 as well. Mako, a shark in the water against the side of Muskingum to guarantee another round win for SFU on Pearl.
Mako will back up an operator that could get a collat here, and all of a second they get one, have to reload, can't quite get the other one, don't need to. Sky's able to be the limit. They get another. Stomachs are just being opened up with holes in the shape of a bullet, and it doesn't tag at least that one. Another through the wall bang them because they can't kill the Mako.
Using an ultimate in Overwatch 2 can be incredibly dangerous. If you miss your ultimate, it could put your team in a very poor position, but with a little riz from Shiz, he kicked the door wide open for his main tank to come in and save the day.
Now you don't even have another chance to recalibrate yourself. And the big EMP into the shatter! Oh my god!
That EMP shatter was devastating! 6 seconds left for Sumter to try and touch. There's not going to be a recontest.
Now for this number 1 highlight of the week, I think anybody watching is going to know right away. Ridley is not a popular character in Smash Ultimate. So you know when you see 2 Ridleys going head to head, something incredible is bound to happen.
That's what I would do.
Yep, and then you sit and just take that up smash. Such a strong and potent kill move. Oh, we're going for the offstage gameplay. There's the stage spike from the neutral air. Holo is a monster.
They live that. They live that. And now Holo has a very even game to play from. Minixo struggling to stabilize. Air dodges in.
We're seeing the
goes for one of their
reverse.
own. They do the same exact thing.
Oh,
Minixo gives Holo a taste of their own medicine.
And that brings week 5 to a close. Thank you all so much for watching this with me and getting to share all these moments and relive all these hype, fantastic plays in the ECAC. It's been a wild ride. We've got insane weeks coming up ahead as we get closer and closer to the end. The caliber of play gets higher and higher, and these players, they just improve and impress week after week. If you want to keep an eye on it, feel free to follow on all of the channels. If you want to follow me, it's just Septilence. You know where to find me on any social media. Thank you so much for watching. Check your posture, drink some water. Don't forget to love each other, and we'll see you next time. Can y'all believe we are already 6 weeks into the ECAC highlight videos, and there's still so much content and so many great plays to see from these teams? It's pretty amazing, but I'm super excited to jump into it. If you don't know by now, I'm Septilence, and I have the honor to walk you through this week's highlights. I'm very excited to see what we got. Catholic U starts Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the CECC Last Chance Qualifier, brought to you by Esports U and CSMG, as well as Zip Chair Gaming. I'm still Septilence, joined by Twin Salty, and we are jumping into what is now our Bracket 1 semi-final. Maryville versus the University of St. Thomas, who have snuck their way away from the broadcast up until now.
Yes, a 2-1 win over Fisher Navy in the previous round leads them up to one of the big dogs in Maryville, who we just saw dismantle Delaware 2-0. I do think this is going to be a better game than previous, obviously. I wonder if Maryville, maybe not taking that last game as seriously as we would think, may actually hurt them this time around, or if they're just going to, Maryville doing Maryville things, and they'll continue marching on.
Yeah, so Maryville definitely tried to play a lot of snipers in that most previous series, and it didn't work quite as well as they wanted, but as we know, our starting map this time in the semifinals, which is still a best of 3, an important clarification, is Circuit Royale. So we are starting with an Escort once again. We're going over to Circuit, which is a very Sigma-centric as well as a very sniper-centric lineup, which I feel like they did work well for Maryville, but the swaps that came from Maryville later almost always seem to be better.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was their best comp by any means, but it's something that they've obviously practiced and are familiar with. And obviously for St. Thomas, we haven't seen them yet, so we don't know what they've been running up to this point. I will say more than likely, Sigma, Hanzo, Widow, Bap, Zen. More than likely that is going to be what we see. Maybe we see an Ashe or a Soj, but I supremely doubt it. So it'll just be, hey, who's getting those opening picks and who's peeking their head just a little bit too long.
And that's what matters, right? You peek your head just that little bit, and that little bit goes a very long way in taking you down a peg very early on. And when your team loses a member, obviously it gets a lot harder. It's not Overwatch 1 where you could have lost somebody and kind of thrived afterwards and won in a 5v6. Winning a 4v5 is incredibly difficult, especially with only one tank in the lineup. The tank is difficult to kill because there are supports to heal the tank, and the supports only heal the tank because there are DPS to keep them alive, and the DPS only stay alive because there's a tank in the way. So the second you remove somebody from that equation, it all can crumble very fast. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out on these teams a lot to identify when a fight is over and when to properly disengage, because overstaying your welcome is a huge reason we've seen a lot of teams lose several fights today.
And especially on first phase Circuit defense, it can be very tricky on, okay, when do we give this up? Because a lot of teams will hold that bridge during that opening stretch. But once they lose 1 or 2, they sometimes just back all the way to the end of that U curve because they know that is more than, in my opinion, the hardest point to push in an escort map because it is so defensive heavy of the natural high ground. You only have in reality one way to kind of push through that. So it can be extremely tricky for the offense. So at some point, defense is like, all right, we're just going to back up. We don't want to give this up for free, but we want to make sure we're still in a decent position for later on. So I want to see, especially for there, do they give it up early for a better chance later on, or do they try and hold the line there at the risk of, hey, we may not be in position for that in the final fight at the end of first phase?
And I think you bring up, oh my goodness, I'm going to start that sentence over. I think you bring up a very good point there as well, Salty, in kind of that regard of teams often finding themselves like they lose one fight, like you said, and they back up too much. That's a whole new problem to kind of deal with. Is you have to have that proper understanding of how far is far enough. Losing one person does not have to be a point lost, right? You're losing a fight. You lost the battle. You can still win the war. And I'm going to be keeping a close eye on St. Thomas and Maryville here to see which team can gauge that understanding a little bit better. It seems like St. Thomas is going for no real surprises here. Almost a mirror matchup, but we've got time for Dan Twist to make sure if we get a true one or not. We can Doge. Gonna be the first one to break the ice a little bit.
Yeah, and as well Shipley on the Soj, which I didn't think we would see it. And it's very weird to not see a Widow for Maryville.
On defense,
they're just not confident enough. Yeah, especially in the defense where you have those, you can just hold down this entire street by your sidelines, but they don't decide to go to it. St. Thomas may honestly enjoy that a lot, especially Dan Twist, who doesn't have to deal with a Widowmaker on the opposite side.
Dan Twist looking for an opportunity to strike. And while this fight kind of plays out, I got to get this off my chest early here, folks. CIU #1 seed forfeits, and Rutgers move into bracket finals. So the winner of this best of 3 will be going up against the Rutgers B squad in a best of 5, which will be happening tomorrow. But let's see which one of these teams can get there first. Already, Abstract playing it low and slow, very reminiscent of our friends Wichita earlier today. They're taking their time with it, but unfortunately, time can work just as much against you as it can work for you. Members only going to be the first one to find that out.
Yeah, and this is where we will see teams hold. Like we said, holding this bridge is only one way in, one way out, and they're not giving Dan Twist any sort of sight line. They're just holding down around this corner. Unless the Widow wants to do a very wide peek, they're not going to be able to see anybody. And Abstract, on the other hand, will. So now they can start taking the advantage with members only coming back into the frame.
A slow burn here is not going to work well for Maryville. Once again, Cyrus going to be eliminated by Abstract. And this Hanzo doing a really good job of just being enough of a nuisance. Never overextending, never pushing too far forward. But that constant spam of arrows, that continued barrage, makes it very difficult to get levels of success. And CAC, an incredible Hanzo, as we saw earlier today, has not had that room to succeed. Has not had that space to get that spam fire. Instead, Abstract has completely taken that role and given it to themselves, guaranteeing St. Thomas a first point cap. 5 minutes on the clock. Oh,
plenty of time, and nice little accretion there onto Shipley as well. Will give them even more progress here. And I think they're not regretting not having the Zen.
Zenyatta Discord Orb, one of the best abilities in the game to just guarantee that a tank does not have absolutely any fun. And like you said, not having one is really hurting Maryville right now. The Brig is a fascinating choice. They wanted to keep the team up and running. They want to have that proc, inspire that AoE healing online, but the team has never been grouped up enough for that healing to even have been worth it. So far, St. Thomas rolling through Maryville. As far as Luca, pretty much getting ready to touch that spawn door.
Yeah, and they have that Flux ready to go if they need it. As you said, they are pushing it extremely far, and now they know exactly where everybody is.
There's the sights, there's the Gravitic Flux, and all of a sudden it's going to be false. The first one to go down. Luca finding an opportunity here. Dan Twist cleaning up the rest of it, and a second point cap. I mean, what are we looking at? 5-something on the clock? And that's incredible. 5.5 minutes standing for St. Thomas right now. But as we learned from our first series today, it's not about how much time you had when you got to third. It's about being able to cap it, which no team has done today.
Yeah, at least for us on stream, no team has finished their escort map, and St. Thomas looking in a pretty decent position here. Shipley is getting close to that blade, but members only is getting close to the transcendence of their own, so it may just nullify the Shipley push, and Maryville don't really have anything else to really work with except the Dragon Strike. They try and like separate the point, but nothing else offensively they can even use this fight.
No offensive ults to work with. CAC might be able to make some space with Dragons, but Dragons not notorious for actually finding elims, right? More notorious for making space and kind of pinching the enemy team towards you or against you. I like what we're seeing here from Ship, though. Going to be going for a bit of an awkward flank, pulling focus off to the far side. Has the blade, looking for the Zen pick early, but has to dash out before the equation ends against them. The scale still tipping in favor of St. Thomas. Not even a minute off the clock, but his members has gone down. Ship is ready to hit the open sea once again. I'm surprised to not see an immediate blade. They're going to try to win the fight without it.
And I think they will, just because St. Thomas knows, hey, we may not be able to win this without the Zen. They back up. CatGod's able to find one, even though Shipley falls. It don't matter. And they will be able to win the fight without the blade. So now they can hold on to it for this next fight. And now Et Matrix is online. They're getting very close to their own Gravitic Flux. And all of a sudden, this is looking a little bit more doable here for Maryville to start mounting a very long-term hold. Unless this Ant Matrix from Noctis can really open this up.
Shipley spamming the I need a healing voice line. Just waiting for the opportunity to blade, and I think it's going to be a lot sooner than maybe they expected. Going to lose the 1v1 to a Sigma, though. Has to dash out, uses deflect to get up and around that cover, but the Flux does catch Ship in the far side. Critic Flux puts him up. Everybody comes down with enough HP to stay standing, but it buys St. Thomas the space they needed and allows Luca to take this high ground completely for free. I want to be looking at the blade going into this next fight, because I feel like Ship is running out of time to use it. Maybe Ship isn't going to get to use it, though. Cac falls. Ship is gone. No DPS standing for Maryville, and they pop a rally. This late is fascinating. Trying to turn Brig into a bit of a raid boss here. Are they going to be able to pull it off? Here's the Flux. It doesn't force Transcendence, and it will. Members has to use it. That guarantees a free blade for Ship, but Salty part of me's wondering, you've been sitting up this blade for 3.5 minutes.
You've been holding on to it for so long, and now that Transcendence is gone, here it is. They break Lamp. Can they get anything from it? They do get 1, they get 2, and the risk seemingly pays off. It just takes a little bit more time than expected.
It just feels like such a hollow victory, that Blade, because, yeah, that's awesome you got 2 with Blade, but it wasn't just Blade. It was Blade and Amp and Trank, and Rally at the time, and Dragons and Gravitic Flux. You used your entire arsenal to win that fight, and yes, you've burned a lot of time down, but holy cow, St. Thomas, they're one good fight away from giving us our first on-stream 3-point completion.
And now they have this Dragon Strike. They want to split up point and see if they can isolate anybody. And from there, Gravitic Flux may be able to get built at that point by Luca. So the option is there for St. Thomas. My fear is if they don't win this fight, it gives Maryville enough time to start rotating those ults more efficiently, and it might be them able to completely hold the end of this map.
Abstract tries to make some space, knocks down the Sigma shield, and False has to play a lot further back than maybe they originally anticipated. Remember, there's only, I think that was a Ricochet Storm Arrow, never something you want to be caught out by. And Matrix is not going to be happening, as Immortality Field wasn't even there to keep the team up and running. Luca pinned out in the corner, has to go for a tactical reset, and still False is able to find it. This is your concern here, Salty. St. Thomas does not win the fight, and they've given Maryville time to farm several ultimates just around the corner.
Yeah, they don't commit, and they make an interesting swap. They go members only on the Kiriko now. So I wonder if that's purely because Shipley is always in their face, but I don't know if I personally like that, just because the Zen especially is a big reason why you got this far in the map with those Discord orbs, and Maryville didn't have it, hence why you were able to get so much more damage in, but in turn, now Maryville has that damage advantage, and they should be able to build up a Transcendence before the end of this map.
50 seconds left. A lot of ultimates in the arsenal for Maryville, but it's the Gravitic Flux, the first one to make some waves. Many going to go up. The Accretion misses, but Immortality Field has to be used. The Dragons are personal towards Cyrus, and there's still not enough to get that Baptiste out of the fight. 1-for-1 trade in the DPS department here, but is it going to be Abstract the next to fall? Already took out Cyrus a 2-piece. Solo Dragons again from CAC, this time onto Abstract. It is a Hanzo 1v1 that Chicken Doge just cannot respect. Get that Discord over, takes that Hanzo offline, and now Maryville has a numbers advantage once again. A huge Swan advantage to boot. Unfortunately, I think we are once again not going to see a 3rd-point cap.
I don't think we will, because with the time that's left, 15 seconds, they throw the Ant Matrix just to try and save themselves, but in reality, they shove themselves in a corner with no way of escape. Dantos will try and stall this out, but I think it's all done here for St. Thomas on this attack.
All done indeed. Not where St. Thomas wanted to be, but you've got to be proud you made it this far at least. Luca goes for the Desperate Wrecking Ball swamp, and I'm afraid it's too little too late. 85 meters, pretty much all the way to the end, but Maryville does get the lineup there at the match mark. They've set their own win condition in Salty. I will say, this is actually my favorite time, my favorite place for a push map to happen like this, right? It's where a team almost makes it to that 3rd point, but just barely doesn't, because this way we get a clear winner, right? And we don't have to go into extra rounds. We can go right into the next map, and everybody made it basically to the end. It speeds up the process of it.
It just a little bit saves us a few minutes on the schedule, and Maryville now in a pretty decent spot. I just wonder if it would have been better if they didn't start on the Brig. It's just a very weird pick here on Circle Royale. But even if it was on Junkertown, Dive's a little more heavy there. But it's just not on Circuit. So I wonder if they could have stopped the bleeding a little earlier, but now they've kind of settled in on this meta comp, with the only difference being Simply and Shipley on the Genji. And it's at least worked so far. I think it's more at this point to put pressure onto Luca and to force them to use Accretion so False can move forward without having that worry. But St. Thomas now are still in a decent position on this offense, on this defense, if they can hold that bridge like Maryville wasn't able to for an extremely long amount of time.
I think the first fight is really going to dictate how this goes, right? Are we going to be getting a Maryville from New Queen Street that we saw earlier, where they were really hyper-aggressive, they performed incredibly well out the gate, and they kind of bodied through, especially toward the end of those final 100 meters or so in the 100-meter race. That was supposed to be a metaphor, and then I realized worst map to try to use that metaphor on. But the point stands that if Maryville wins this opening fight, I'm confident this can become a steamroll, but if they get the wind ripped from their sails here and ship sinks early, then St. Thomas might have a very real chance of winning map number 1.
Yeah, I think they definitely do. If they can hold this for even 3 minutes, and it gives them a decent amount of time to try and work with it. Hey, that's the perfect start. Dan Twist on this Widow, showing you why it is a great pick here on this map.
And Dan Twist has been such a silent DPS in the best way, right? They've been doing their job. It hasn't been flashy, it hasn't been incredible, but it's been consistent. And out of Widowmaker, that's the number 1 quality you want, is consistency to be key at the end of it. Dan Twist trying to be patient, but always dangerous to go up against a projectile character like that, another sniper, especially one with CAC God behind the wheel. St. Thomas has to hold S very early on, not even a minute off the clock, and Maryville claiming that opening corner. I think I would have liked to see some more aggression after that map went down early. You had the numbers. Another pick should have been a shoo-in.
Yeah, especially, no lamp to deal with, and it will be Shipley actually forced to use, deflect, and then I think somebody took a shot they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, a couple folks shooting into that deflect there. Unfortunately, Dan Twist going to be on the wrong end of that deflection. Maryville University, first point. Feels like a bit of a guarantee. St. Thomas, this was our number 1 concern going into this, is holding too much of that S key. Not respecting the space is dangerous, but respecting it too much can be just as, if not more detrimental against your team. And I think, unfortunately, St. Thomas learning that the hard way. 5 minutes on the clock here, and they're going to win a team fight right after as well.
Yes, they will gain all the high ground control, will not get held during this curve here in Monaco. And yeah, members only gets cleaned up, and Shipley proves that, hey, may not be a super meta pick right now, but it's working out for Maryville quite well. And St. Thomas now making a swap. Dan Twist off the Widow onto the Cassidy to try and deal with the pressure that Shipley has been giving. But at this point, you got to stop the bleeding at some point. This card's already around that curve almost, and St. Thomas still is trying to figure out how they want to get through with this choke at the end of this phase.
Abstract is going to be able to make some space early on here, but Maryville University hasn't been a team to really back down after losing a player. This time they are going to hold that S key, reconvene, knowing they've got 4 minutes, 5 ultimates, and plenty of time to work against St. Thomas. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to work well for Maryville. St. Thomas, this is kind of their opportunity to strike its first point all over again. Winning this fight will be critical. Wow, what a juke of that accretion! Forces out Transcendence. Only reason that False is able to stay alive, but Cyrus, unfortunately, does not get caught by that infinite healing. Support offline again. We saw this in the very first fight when Dan Twist was able to get rid of that BAP, and it wasn't enough to stop Maryville. Can that story be a little different here? Can it be rewritten? That's a huge flux. Gonna force that Trank as well. That's a huge opener for Maryville. Can they follow up with the Dragons or with a Blade? As Shipley is sent back to spawn, will be another ultimate they're gonna want back.
Yeah, Cyrus dies early again. Abstract seems to have their number in these fights, and it will just be a reset for Maryville as they are stuck in this hallway, and there is no way out but the spawn room. 3 minutes left, and St. Thomas at least able to hold this high ground now, which is very beneficial to them. Shipley can only push you so many different ways. But as you said, no Transcendence means a free Blade here for Shipley, with all they have to worry about is the Immortality field for that first swipe or two.
A lot of patience from St. Thomas here, and you've got to respect it because they know the second they overextend, it's going to cost them one of their players, and that's obviously not a circumstance you want to be in. Abstract can't respect it enough as that log from Cat God puts them down, takes the Dragons offline, and even opens up some more of their own. A bit of an nom-nom-nom from the Dragons on Maryville University, but still a silent Dragon. Disappears deep into that. Good. No! Abstract! Oh my God. I had like a Sixth Sense moment where I was like, oh, I hope Abstract doesn't get killed by those Dragons, and then immediately, oh, yeah. Hate to see it. Abstract falls. Poor Noctis can't get out of the way in time. And it takes, 2 full minutes, but Maryville is going to be able to conquer this second point, putting them in a very real chance of winning Poland. We saw this exact same situation against Delaware on map number 1 back in Junkertown. It took them all the way to third point, but they were able to win it with, I think, still 2 something on the clock. Can they match that over-aggressiveness here against St. Thomas?
Luca just used Flux to try and save second phase, and I don't know if that was the right call at all for Luca. Because now they don't have it. You know, and Chicken didn't even need to use the Transcendence to counter it because I think they were like 100 health when they casted it. They died during the animation of the ultimate, and now your biggest weapon here going into this next fight is gone. Dan Twist is basically a sitting target when they're using that Deadeye, and Shipley could even deflect it back at him, and this seems to go from bad to worse for St. Thomas, who, yes, they have the Transcendence for either the Flux or the Blade, but you can't stop both.
Cannot stop both. A dangerous game to be a part of, and we've got to wonder if we're going to be seeing the right answer here. You'd think in a game where there are only 2 right answers, one would stumble into the correct answer once and again, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be seeing it yet. Shipley goes deep into the back line. There's Transcendence, has to answer out the Blade. The Trank from Chicken Doge as well. All 10 members currently invincible in this moment. The application matrix from Cyrus is going to be a silent one. 2.5 minutes remain. St. Thomas currently scattered across this third point of Circuit Royale, and I think Maryville just a couple of seconds away from a map 1 victory.
Yeah, and they realize Abstract is trying to go on a flank. They get rid of them, and yet Dan Twist will suffer the same fate. St. Thomas, valiant effort, but not enough this time around.
A valiant effort indeed. Maryville is going to find themselves as the victors of map number 1, which drastically increases their chances of finding Rutgers in the Bracket 1 finals, which will be happening tomorrow. And of course, that's just for a spot in the true finals against the victors of Bracket 2, which we'll be seeing a little bit later today. I do want to say, though, Maryville coming out strong once again. St. Thomas, I'm not sure I saw enough there, Salty, to confidently say this could be a closer series. That felt just like when Maryville ripped through the hens on Junkertown.
Yeah, it's a very similar vibe. I think St. Thomas gave a little bit more pushback than Delaware, but yeah, it was a very similar effect here as they just keep pushing. You know, maybe it is a St. Thomas, maybe isn't good at poke, but it seemed like, you know, Abstract, especially in the Hanzo, actually kept them in a lot of those fights. The issue is now you go to a push map, which we've seen how great Maryville can be on these push maps, even when they're, you know, getting a little creative with how they want to go at these fights. So the worry button is definitely being hit by St. Thomas right now, as Maryville looking even better to get in that top 4.
Maryville looking better, but you know what truly looks best for gamers, Salty?
Ooh,
a zip chair. The CECC Last Chance Qualifier is brought to you by ZipChair and Dream Seat as the official gaming chair for the CECC. Head over to zipchair.com to elevate your gaming chair today. And talking about elevating gaming chairs, I can tell you, zip chairs, from what I've heard, they're very durable. They're very good chairs. Probably more durable than, I don't know, this. So, you know, a zip chair might be a little more effective than that old chair that I've got here at home. So, you know, zip chair, hit my line if you're interested. But folks, seriously, check out zip chair. From what I hear, they're pretty cool. They're pretty impressive. And we're pretty excited to have them along here for the ride at CECC.
You warned me you were going to do that, and I just didn't think it'd be the entire
The worst part is it was way easier than it probably should have been for a factory-made chair, not zip chair, by the way. That is the point of me ripping the arm off, showing that zip chair is notably better than the chair I have at home, unfortunately. But it's done, and what's done is done. We know map 1 is done. Esperanza is coming just around the corner again. Second time, I believe, we've seen Esperanza here today, so hopefully it's going to be a little bit closer than the last time we saw it. But if Maryville can play this just like they could play New Queen Street, well, this could be a very quick 2-0.
Yes, it could very well be. I want to see what St. Thomas have up their sleeve. It's obviously not going to be poke. That is the only thing we kind of know for sure. It should not be poke. It'll either be probably some sort of dive fight, I guess. Maybe they run the Reinhardt rush, but we saw how well that did not go for Delaware earlier today. So I'm just trying to think here for St. Thomas, because you want to bank on Abstract because they were playing really well. And Luca, I would say they held their own against False to a decent degree.
I agree.
Except for the Fluxes. I think those kind of fell flat a little bit for Luca. It was either, you know, too early in a fight to where, all right, they can answer with a lamp, they can answer with Transcendence, it's fine. They don't have to worry about it, and they can give you a better counterpunch. Or they try and use it too late, hence the end of second phase where they're at 100 health, and they try and make a hero play, and then they just die. So St. Thomas have a lot of things they need to fix here, but obviously, you know, upsets happen. Could be a miniature reverse sweep in this best of 3, but I would say the cards are stacking more in Maryville's favor than it is for St. Thomas.
Absolutely. And folks, if you've been sitting at home and you know Maryville like I do, and you've been thinking, who are these guys? Like, what is going on? I wasn't going to ask because I didn't want to embarrass myself, but this makes way more sense. Most, if not all of them, are using accounts that are not their main account. They're not the names we recognize. This is false. This is Tree under the CAC God name, which makes all the sense in the world.
Okay,
this is King in the Shipley spot. It's Juby on Chicken Doge, which again makes sense. So that clears a lot of things that I was like internally fighting with. I was like, who are these? Did Maryville replace their whole roster and I wasn't paying attention? Like, why is Cyrus the only name I recognize? But it's because they are the same roster, the very good Maryville we know and love, and that explains a lot of the performance we've been seeing here today.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, is that Tree or is that King? Like, I kept bouncing back and forth in my head trying to figure out which one is which, but that does make sense. And hey, you did 2-2. I think it was 2-2 in the Pro-Am. I think they went, right. They did quite well in that Pro-Am. So hey, you get a little bit of ego boost. We get the side accounts in here for these last chance qualifiers to get to Texas, and I'm curious how they will do in Texas if they do qualify, theoretically speaking here, obviously, because there's a lot of great teams there, but no Northwood. That was a very big one, obviously, that will not be there. So I'm curious how they will do, but obviously you got to make sure you get it done first here. And obviously at that point, we could be in a whole new meta as well with a brand new hero just dropping in a week or so.
And you hate to see it, Salty, because there's part of this we really got to talk about. Like, you're really not that close yet. I mean, you've got to beat St. Thomas, then you've got to beat Rutgers, then you've got to beat whoever survives the other bracket. Like, there is 3 or 2.5, I guess, full series ahead of you. The next 2 going to be best of 5s, I believe. So you've got a very long journey ahead of you. In Maryville, like we talked about, one of the greatest schools in the collegiate scene right now in the world of Overwatch, and we're learning why very early on here, because they are proving themselves. This is their CECC daily debut, and they have been dominating the competition so far.
Oh, they've been stellar so far. And St. Thomas, they will run, I would say, a variation of that rush. It's almost the poor man's rush. So it's kind of been the name that's been thrown around a lot with the Ramatra. And Dan Twist, well, that's not how you want to start this. Get slept and at least able to escape right away. But it could be a little tricky because this Ram only has a shield for a little bit, and you have no Kiriko for these bio nades.
Oh, no Kiri for the bio nades. It's going to make Cyrus just a lethal assassin there in the back line. Unfortunately, Pulse is not able to make it out of the way in time. Going to lose that mech, and that could be disastrous for the squadron on the side of Maryville. Losing that tank early can certainly hurt your chances of success. Cyrus getting dove in the back line. Luca all the way up into that back line. Just cannot find the spacing to work with quite yet, but it is, in fact, going to be Pulse, the first one to go down. Cat God not far behind, and St. Thomas winning first fight, something we haven't seen Maryville lose every time they've been on stream so far. Can they turn this one around as shift goes down? I'm starting to feel like the answer may be no. St. Thomas really making some waves.
Yeah, patience there. Just wait it all right. False goes in a little bit too far, able to get the punish through. And they have also swapped onto the Ramatra Shipley onto the Mace. So it'll be basically a mirror other than members only on the map compared to the Cyrus Ana. And Ed Matrix already online because of how much damage was going through. And Maryville will not give this up. A late touch here from the squad.
Late touch from the squad is going to be pretty critical here, because once you lose that forward spawn advantage, things can really get disastrous for a team in a lot of ways. Oh, just like that, Shipley is going to be the first one to go down. When the opposing team can get up to you faster than you'd expect, it's going to be difficult to answer that. Luca might be able to find the deal out of that cast, but he's just not fast enough. Immortality comes out, keeps the team alive, and Luca is still going to be able to make a lot of space. Gotta call it out, though, Salty. Nobody's been on the cart here. It wouldn't be a lot of free space, but I think we're just got cheated maybe 10, 20 meters for St. Thomas.
Yeah, I would say about 10 or so meters would have got cheated out, but obviously the bot, sticks around there for a little bit, but definitely some space they would have wanted. Blizzard comes out, and the only person really caught is Shipley.
You hear the beat drop from Chicken Doge. Cyrus wants to hold on to that nano. Shipley has fallen once again, truly losing the May battle. It's the annihilation from Luca that opens this fight all over again. Everybody wants to be embraced by that warm purple hug, and Maryville going to be sent back to spawn just for it. I mean, I've got to say, St. Thomas, they are not showing up. They are showing off right now.
Yeah, they're playing extremely well, and Cyrus wants to give up on the Ana. Even though those bio nades kept them in a lot of those fights, they need that immortality field for late on, and now Dane Twist has this Deadeye that they can try and use just to gain some more space. There it is. Maywell's already used. They will almost get above it.
Nobody able to get that lineup in time. We see the purple hug coming out from Clerky here instead. False wants to make the space that this team so desperately needs. Maryville being on the back foot is something they're not very used to, and as Tiny Overwatch tries to keep them alive, all it does is line them up to be taken down. A chain lightning shot from Clerky is going to seal the deal, and all of a sudden Maryville has flipped the script. However, Salty, if we follow the statistics we've been following today, the team to hit 100 meters has been the team to win every single time. Can Maryville rewrite history in this matchup today?
I think the possibility is there. They at least have 6.5 minutes to make this work. But if you're St. Thomas, you don't have to win every fight now. You can win a fight, lose a fight, as long as that bot continues to give you that spawn advantage, which obviously right now it does not, but late on it could. But members only, yeah, they just die for it.
Members only falls, and okay, no, this is winnable, Cyrus is going to fall to that headshot as well, especially as Dan Twist wakes up with that totally skillful ability. Abstract and Luca going to be frozen out into the center field there, and Luca will go down for it. Unfortunately, Dan Twist could not carry far enough. Members only tries to get out of the fray, and Dan, unfortunately, a fan of that fan-hammer combination. Maryville University sneaking up, already 1/3 done with what has been brought to the table from St. Thomas.
They do lose a few members during that, though. So they will get to 36 meters. They will give it up at that point, knowing they can probably fight again towards the middle of the map and have the data of their own. They have an amp matrix if they want to try and pair it late on, depending on how long it takes for them to build it up. When St. Thomas, they're going to take this long rotate all the way over to the opposite side of bridge.
Here comes that wall, and all of a sudden Abstract uses the Blizzard to get in early. I love what we're seeing from St. Thomas. It had to be a full overextension. It had to be an overcommitment. You get the immortality field offline from Cyrus, and it looks like False is going to be able to go down as well, but we need a little bit more of that aggressive play from St. Thomas. It felt like Abstract kind of ran in there alone, and the rest of the team was going to try to clean up what they could, but I would have really liked to see kind of that rushdown style where they just full bulldoze into the opponents, especially with a Blizzard on their side. It felt a little too respectable from St. Thomas, but it won, so I digress. They've still got the advantage. They've got the lead, and they've got half the game already gone.
Yeah, and they will be able to regain close spawn, and that's all they want. Now they can just play this bridge. They don't need to push up any further. This amp will not get anything done. And now St. Thomas can just play the patience game, knowing they have the better map positioning.
High Noon, Annihilation, and the beat online. A wall goes up from Shipley, but all it's done is force a beat early from not one, but both sides. Dan Twist could have a field day here if they pull fast enough, and unfortunately, they don't go for the shot on. Oh, maybe they could still get it. I'm amazed it doesn't hit, but unfortunately, just can't get that lineup there. Falls is not going to be able to find the space, and the purple hug comes out from Luca all over again. Purple man looking to take these kids to school. Shipley falls, and it looks like the rest of the team not far behind. What is that, a 4-for-1 trade? St. Thomas really feeling good about their chances of increasing their lead even more.
Man, the sensitivity on Luca, Jesus, man. And like he was just whipping around those corners to try and take out Chicken Doge, but they are able to. And again, they kept close spawn during that entire fight, so they will be able to actually gain some bot progress, I think, here, if they want to.
I think so.
Maryville's trying to at least contest it. They may not get any progress, but they can at least fight for more progression as they have that amp matrix to fall back on if needed.
Yeah, Matrix to pull back on here. University of St. Thomas, no immortality field online. They're holding the S key. A lot of respect, but it's the Amp Matrix. It's a bait. It's a pull, and it's a farce for this team to find the aggression. Once again, Shipley falls to that Amp Matrix. The Annihilation comes out from False as they try to give a false sense of security to St. Thomas. Has to backpedal early there. That is an ultimate down the drain. One that, I mean, you really want back in a circumstance like this. That's one of the most impactful ultimates on the side of Maryville. Did I do better?
Yeah, no. Chicken Doge's getting froze up as well as they lose 3 ultimates for nothing.
Oh my goodness, for absolutely nothing, for a -1 elim right now. Amplification Matrix for Maryville is going to be able to pay off just a little bit, but is it enough? Chicken Doge taken out by Abstract. This team continuing to barrow down against Maryville University. 3 minutes left. Salty, we need Maryville to fully go 200%, or they're going to lose this. We're going to our first map 3 of the day.
And everything just seems to fall apart that fight. Shipley tries to use the Blizzard. They get killed during the animations. That goes away. False gets walled off during the Annihilation, and they get nothing from it, so that goes away. Deadeye had to get canceled because of Blizzard. Amp Matrix gets 1, but it's not enough to stop the bleeding, and St. Thomas realized, hey, we can just play this corner yet again, rinse and repeat. We got 2.5 minutes just to try and stall this out and not having to do much, and we have a pause.
We got a tech pause? Ayo?
Oh, and now we have an R. Okay, so I think
bait.
we're not coming back to us. I think we're just going to continue on. Maybe it was like a false alarm from Maryville.
Maybe somebody's mouse died or something.
Okay, False's game is bugging. Okay, I wonder.
Perfect explanation. We totally know what that means.
Yes. Okay, weird. All right. Well, St. Thomas, they almost have Annihilation. They have Deadeye. They have Sound Barrier as well. They have all the resources they could want to try and win this fight, and they continued the momentum. As we're going to go back to us actually here for a minute. Chicken Doge does have that Sound Barrier if they want to use it late, but all of a sudden, St. Thomas, it seems like Poke just wasn't their kind of comp.
Yeah.
Like, I think this rush with the Ramatra has actually worked quite well.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the Ramatra rush is something that we weren't expecting to see, kind of what these teams had presented earlier, but it's been wildly effective so far, and I'm interested to see if St. Thomas continues to rely on it. Going into our next map, which would be Control, which we haven't seen anybody on yet today, but as we know, Maryville has a very good success level there on Control, so maybe we'll get there when we get there, but with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, plenty of game left for these players to overperform, and for Maryville to answer back 47 to 123. I mean, that's absolutely a winnable fight. You've got to wonder if they can win the ROM 1v1. Turns out it's not a 1v1, it's a 1v none, as Four Falls gets deleted from the Mortal Coil there. Ramatra sent to the scrapyard, and Maryville University losing a critical fight. Sub 100 seconds here, Salty. St. Thomas, I mean, this is their map to lose right now. That St. Thomas may be overplaying their hand a bit, especially as Noctis brings a new song for the team to dance to. Cat gets one elimination, but I think gives their life for the trade. And St. Thomas, that was everything they had, Salty, with almost a minute left. A critical ultimate disadvantage. Maryville, the skills have weighted themselves out just a bit.
Yeah, that was very ballsy, I will say first, from St. Thomas. But they're able to win the gamble, and Chicken Doge, they're stuck. They're in the small corridor.
Control before you hit 0, because if you don't, that's really a circumstance in which you lose one fight and it's over. Of 3K from False there is going to open up the opportunity for Maryville to strike. We'll call that a 3.5K, possible 4K there, as Noctis is going to go down as well. A complete total team wipe, but I gotta say, St. Thomas, they got a lot of ult charge off that.
Yeah, they got a lot. And again, they don't need to win this next fight because everybody got close spawn. They can play towards bridge. Even if they lose that, at that point, Maryville get close spawn. They get the tick. They have to probably play another fight on that corner and at the very end of that street, and then maybe again near the end of the map. So there's